skip the intro part.
real rational discourse.
We're live right now.
And that's what it was for.
Don't even worry about the intro.
Come together,
Fuck
talk.
the intro.
You have value, and
We're rocking
everybody
and
out
rolling.
there resonates with somebody.
I'm gonna share the link.
That they resonate. It just that's just the way it is. If you don't vibe with somebody, you don't vibe with somebody.
Okay.
Like, I love watching
DJ Round
Do you know what he's
live.
Coffee.
Do you know what he's
My
talking
nephew
on? Is he just talking on like
greatest
community building?
Crypto.
Yeah, he's talking about community
the
building
greatest explainer of
and
Hex crypto
people
ecosystem,
doing
in my
awesome.
opinion.
I'm gonna turn the sound down.
I just love the way he does
smidgen on this.
And you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
other people not
Is
so
that
much.
still good for you? Can you still hear that?
Yeah,
But
that's
I
good,
resonate
man.
with him.
That's good.
Sweet.
And so if you resonate with me, or you resonate with Coffee,
I
or
will
you
leave that
resonate
there.
with, anybody else out there.
I mean,
he's talking
RG is like, RG is
remember,
like the
you
king of
resonate with somebody else,
like
and you should love
networking
creating content.
and all
You
that
should be out
stuff.
there
So he's
bringing
definitely
onboarding
qualified to
people,
talk
whatever
on
it
this.
is. I'm getting ready to branch out into different realms. I'm working with people, with hairdressers. I'm working with the cigar world.
The subject of
I'm working with the
networking.
coffee world. I'm trying to break out of the crypto space so that people could hear who we are and see if they resonate with us in different genres of people. So you get up and turn on the camera, get yourself a YouTube channel, and just start talking to people. And you never know who you may help.
Hell yeah, that's exactly what we
now,
did.
On the other hand,
Yep.
My passion is bringing people together personally, physically bringing people together. Because what I do know is that
I still think back on those days, man.
crypto isn't
Like
marketed
before we even
traditionally.
started the
It's
channel.
very hard to market traditionally.
The simpler,
Dude, it was-
the simpler days.
Bro, it was so easy. Like we would just
They're
literally
doing
have
the
Telegram calls and just
crypto.coms,
fucking
they're
shoot
doing
the shit. Like
Remember
And
our
then we're
first
like,
our first 2 or 3 episodes were on
we've
Zoom.
done in the
Oh my
DRT.214
God, yeah.
Has all been a story being told. Has
Dude,
all been
oh,
us
man.
one helping.
it was a hell,
another,
yeah, like you said, it was a
onboarding,
hell of a
those kinds
story.
of things, direct
Hell of
mail.
a story that we had back then, man.
But in-person
Like-
meetups to me are what
Ooh.
builds
In-person
a
meetups. This is my favorite thing.
solid relationship, builds a solid community tied together with these relationships. Because it's so easy to misinterpret. It's so easy to blast or damage people or try and hurt their reputation online. It's so easy.
This
to
is
do all
actually,
that
yeah, the misinterpretation and the
without justification,
miscommunication
without
stuff. Like,
rationality, without using
man,
discernment. And in
even
person,
like in
it's
our
not so
own little
easy to do
Telegram
that.
chats, even in our own little
The
community, there's
hardest
so
thing
much like
to get rid
misinterpretation
of
and people like
is
talking
a
past
human
each other
body.
and stuff.
That's
Like,
the hardest thing to get rid of. And
like
when you're in front of
in
somebody
our
and
in
you're
our
talking
little,
to them, it's very hard for
in
them to
community
get rid of
rooms,
you.
we'll often have people that are like,
or for
chilling
you to get
things
rid
in
of
one
them.
room and like talking shit in another
But
room,
what
and it's like,
happens is you
bros,
guys
just
really
get along.
relate with one another.
Yeah.
You see eye to eye. You get to know that person without judging them and then being able to blow them off because you're 2D online. In person, it's different. And what I've seen
Had to
with
throw a
these
little
events
love
is
your
that
way in the
these in-person
Oh, I
events
see
have
that.
created businesses, have created cryptos that were built on Pulse Chain, have created relationships that have, people gotten married, had kids, all this kind of stuff through these.
I gotta say,
personal
man,
meetups.
you're Avenge the Fall. It's so
there's
like,
a lot of value.
it's so hard to
in
like
the meetups.
read. It's like the up and down, the up and down, the up.
I'm
It's,
gonna
it
keep
reminds me of the
going.
like
We
the
fill up
the
stadiums.
the
That's,
the
one of the
SpongeBob
things
meme where it's
that,
like
one of my
capital letter,
goals
lowercase
is
letter,
that we're
capital
filling up
lowercase.
stadiums of people that want to come
It's good though.
together
It's memorable.
and talk crypto. And
Yep.
That's what it's about. It's getting in front of people. It's building relationships, and all of the businesses that I have in the crypto space, which is many, they've all been in-person meetups where everything has come together, where everybody has built trust with one another.
Did you catch
and
Zenith's
everybody has seen the value
presentation
in
with
one another.
Herbs earlier?
Nothing
No, I gotta
better than
catch
a
that on
hug,
the
a high
replay.
five,
I
and
was
a handshake.
I was
That's
out
what I always
taking
say,
a walk with
and,
my friend
that's
over
what we do.
on the
And we're gonna
subject
be
of
doing that
real life
real soon
community
on March
building. I was hanging out with
6th through
my
the 9th
hanging out with
in
my
Vegas,
real life friend whose
where
house I'm
we'll
staying in
have
right now, and
our
we were
annual
out
Hex
walking because
event,
it's been snowing all day
in
and shit.
person
So
in Vegas.
how was
I
it?
got you.
Going to be a golf tournament.
It was good. It
Big
was good.
prizes at the golf
Are you in
tournament.
Texas right now, or are you somewhere else?
We're going to have a
Yep,
lot
I'm
of
in Dallas.
It's
It's like just crazy freak snowstorm came in today.
They'll have booths,
Seriously?
you'll be able to talk to them. You'll be able to
Yeah.
sit down and see the people that you see online will be in front of you actually to talk with. I think that's important.
Congratulations
to
to
building
Will
trust.
Stevenson.
We've
What is this
seen
Condor
so
guy?
many failures in this space. The good thing about Pulse Chain is that it's easy to build on, and anybody can build on it. The bad thing about pulse chains is easy to build on. Anybody can build on it. So you never know what you're going to get. So I'd like to let everybody know out there that, even though the Pulse Chain Tour and this Pulse 369 event in Vegas will be showcasing, projects that are being built on Pulse Chain, you all need to understand what this space is handing you. Like, you're on the cutting edge of the cutting edge of cutting edge DeFi. You are a small subset of a small subsect of a small subsect of crypto, meaning that all of these things haven't been proven yet.
Yeah, wall to
All
wall.
of
That's his
these
brand,
things
man.
haven't been proofed yet. All
That's
of these
definitely
things are
RG's
still
brand
trying
is
to prove themselves to you.
Captain Jack
So
Sparrow.
this is just another
Oh,
way
okay. I was
for
like,
you to have
wall to wall.
access to those things that are being
Yeah, the
built,
pirate dude. He is ready to rock
and
and
to
roll.
build trust. Actually sitting down with the developer or the founder and asking them questions about what they're doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it. Important stuff, especially if you're planning on being somebody who's getting involved in these things early on in their developments. Because I want everybody to understand that, not only is tech hard and tech difficult to get right, and you can have problems with that, get problems with tokenomics, problems with all kinds of things. But then there's liquidity issues where the founders and the developers may not be the ones who are providing the liquidity, and you've just got whales that are buying in early and they're handling the liquidity and removing it. And you cannot blame and call people scammers for doing what they're doing in this space. And liquidity going in and coming out.
I don't know if you
Doesn't
saw, but
necessarily
yesterday
mean that
David
somebody is
Fader put
scamming.
out a video
Just
about why
means
he's boycotting the
that
conference.
you got yourself in
I
a
saw
situation
snippets of it.
where
In
you should
fact,
have
I
done a
saw
little more
like
research, or
people
you should have,
posting the image of him pulling his shirt
been a
down
little
and
more
showing his hex
cautious
tattoo.
if
I
you
didn't
got
I didn't
references like that.
see
So
anything of it.
just realize
What
that
was
these
what was the
things,
gist of
there's
it?
a lot of different
He was
nuances
upset
that
about
was
people
can
shilling.
hurt your investments if you're
Yeah,
investing in
it
them.
was
Now,
the reason he gave was like half the
way
folks that are
bigger
giving
upside, because
presentations
these things do
all
tend to go
endorse the
up
Staker
fast.
app,
But remember,
and
there's a bigger risk
apparently
too.
that failed
There's a risk
miserably. I
reward
mean,
on
it's
these
I didn't
Yeah.
pay attention to the project,
It's
so
something
I don't
that
Yeah,
know.
that
you
But
did
need
go
to
down very terribly.
self-mitigate
A lot of
and
people
take
lost a lot
accountability
of
for.
control of
Yeah.
their
And
hex stuff.
realize that there are a
yeah,
lot of
so
different
he said a lot of
extenuating
people that were giving
circumstances that
presentations
can
were
get you wrecked.
shilling that to their
But
community, and
again, the in-person
that
meetups,
ended up
another
failing.
way for you
So
to get a better
yeah, that
feel
was the
for
He
reason he
doesn't want to
gave.
be
product
associated.
developers and the people that are out
I
there doing
guess.
stuff on Pulse Chain.
I mean,
So
to each their own.
that's,
I would say
I
that, like,
guess, what do I been on there?
you
I
know,
still got a few more minutes.
Hitler told people to brush their
That's my
teeth.
thing. That's what
So,
I do.
like, I refuse to,
I go to in
use
person. I
toothbrushes
meet
because Hitler
with
said so
folks.
or something like
I
that. I never
represent,
really, I don't think it's
myself, my brand,
I can understand
and
wanting to
the
distance
community that
oneself
stands behind that.
from people that do things that we don't agree with.
We always provide,
But
a quality event for people to show
I
up
don't,
to.
actually, David's a
We're
free and
always there
sovereign
to help.
human individual. Like,
Our VIP
he makes his own
events
decisions, and
are
he gave his
not,
reasons, he gave his
to
justifications. So more power to him, I
try
suppose.
and run around like some big shot, hey, come have a
Yeah,
stake
man,
dinner
I
with
agree.
RG3. It's not like that. It's, the best of the best coming
We
together.
haven't been on Discord
planning an
Syndicate
event,
in a while,
having
have we?
dinner,
We
having a
have not.
meetup,
Yeah, that's
and
We haven't.
talking to those
that'll be
people around
happening
that
tomorrow
have
after book
questions.
club. We're
And,
covering
usually at the VIP events,
the
you
creature
get,
from Jekyll
people
Island.
like coffee and
Not sure if you're familiar with
access,
that, about the
all
creation of the
these
Federal Reserve.
crispy man and
Then
all
after
these
that,
people that show up
might be
at our
time
VIP
for
events, and
Discourse
you can
Syndicate.
talk
Who
to them,
knows?
Yeah, it could
ask them
be. Fun
questions.
fact is I
And,
just started a
talk
3-month
crypto,
Audible
talk X, talk
subscription for
staking,
like 99 cents
talk
for the
liquidity
first 3
providing,
months
talk,
because
Oh
I
yeah.
got like one of those offers to come
validating,
back and do it.
whatever it is that
Uh-huh.
you
And
want.
I'm
You
going to
get
start
access to those
looking
people.
through the book club
And
episodes to find
that's
the
one
next
thing
3
that,
books that I want to
it's funny.
take
We did a
advantage of.
People say, hey,
we did a
you
review
shouldn't be spending your
on
money
on oh
these
shoot, what was
these
it, like December
these
22nd
events.
or
And I
21st or
agree.
something
There's
like
some
that. We
egregious
reviewed all the
events
books
out
that we
there
did on
where
book
they'll
club and
charge
we
you
ranked them. We did tier
$5,000,
lists.
$6,000,
So
$7,000.
you might find something
to go an
useful in
event.
there.
That's not what
You
we
might
got
not.
here.
I'm thinking
That's not
48
what
Laws of Power.
our
For some
biggest
reason,
price
that one's
tag is.
sticking out to me.
Absolutely.
I still haven't read that one yet.
VIP thing, whatever.
I've read it. That's one of my
And
most favorite
and
books. We've not
so
covered it on
you
book
get
club yet.
value with that.
That's
I
a
know that
fantastic book. Highly recommend.
Kalen puts it together where You're gonna
Yeah,
get
and
a great
was
dinner.
it
You're gonna get to meet
Richard
with great
Green? Is that the
people,
author?
and
Am
you're
I
Yep,
gonna
saying
have a
that
Richard
good
Green.
time.
correct?
You're
Yeah,
gonna have
because I read
fun.
Art of
We have
Seduction,
fun every time we have
and
one
that
of
was
these
pretty
events.
good. He
And
authored that one
you know,
also.
being
So,
part of that,
but
Or
I always
Robert
hear about
Robert Green.
Robert Green.
participating
That's
in
right,
it
Robert Green.
is not
Yeah,
making anybody rich.
yeah.
I promise you that. It's just paying the bill, so that you can have a
But
place
yeah,
to
he
sit
did
down and eat
Art of Seduction,
and
and
share
I
with
read
one
that
another.
one. I thought that was a pretty
So
good book.
hope to see
So
you guys all out there.
I don't know. That's what I'm
Vegas
thinking.
is gonna
48
be a
laws.
lot of fun.
Yeah,
If you've never been to
that's a great
one
book,
of our
bro.
events,
Yep.
you know,
There's a
we
lot
do
of
put on
stories in there,
activities
which really helps with
and
like
dances
the
you know, we
lessons
have
and
a DJ
that's a
and
book that I
and
definitely had to go
mixers and
through
whatnot. So
twice
a lot
to
of fun, a lot
absorb
of
that.
value.
Like it takes a
And then
long
there's going to
time
be
on
some
Audible. I want
great
to say it's like
speakers. If you
19-hour
look at
book.
go to
I was debating on that,
pulsechaintour.com,
or
see
there's a leadership
the
book
list
by
of speakers
Jocko
that are going to
and
be there.
Leaf Babin
And
that they
Yep,
put
it's going to
we
be
read
together.
that
It's,
one.
it's on
it's going
leadership.
to be a good
Yeah, I'm
time.
thinking about
You're going to learn a lot.
that's like the second one
And
that I'm
who knows?
considering.
Make some babies,
Yep.
some marriages.
Extreme Ownership
You
is
know,
it's a really good
some
one. That's
business
another one we covered
partnerships.
on book
Who
club.
knows? Um,
You'll
so
get a
before
lot of the
I roll
lingo.
out of here,
I think you
anybody
probably already
in the
know a
chat
lot of
room
the
have
stuff that's
any
in there, but it'll be good,
uh,
what's
have
the
anything in the chat room? Somebody said
they call it
Buffalo,
PME when you
Pulse
were
Chain.
in the
There it is. I'm
military,
sorry.
preventative maintenance education,
Yeah, I have somebody here. The hardest thing you can do is
yeah.
remind
So
you.
like
It really
it's
is
good
the
PME. It's
hardest thing
good like
to do.
reminder of the stuff that
But
helps out
when you get in
and
front of
makes you an
people,
effective leader in life. So definitely a good one. I
that's
do
where the
recommend it.
magic happens.
Yeah, we just called it
And
preventative maintenance. We
yeah,
didn't really put
I
the
guess
the
that's it,
PME
man.
on there. That's
You
but
got
yeah,
anything you
same
want
thing.
to chat about before? Am
It's
I
good
out of
stuff,
time
man.
yet?
I like it.
Well, yeah, you've filled up the time and you've done a great job as always. Doing the in-person events, it makes a big difference. And I explained this to Hexologist last week on his
Are you going to the
Twitter
Pulse Chain
Spaces.
meetup in Vegas?
That
Hell yeah,
that's
bro.
what I see is that
I am definitely going.
there's
Have you
two
thought about
sides
it?
of the price equation.
I thought about
You've
it.
got
I know
getting the
Z
word
and
out
Nate
to
are
new
speaking
people,
at
but
it.
you've also got retaining the current
I just
whales
got so much.
and sharks and dolphins.
I'm doing a
What I've
cruise
seen at
next
these
week, and then I'm
events
going to
is that,
Florida in
that's where
February,
all the
man. And
retention
I've just been
happens.
doing
And
so much travel,
there are
dude, that
whales and sharks that I know
I
that
want to get
wouldn't
back on a
still be
regular
around if it
routine.
wasn't for
I don't know
feel
if
you,
I
bro.
want to travel
that you
again
guys
until the
have been
summer.
putting on. So
I
Great,
feel you
great point, Maddie.
100%
Retention
when it
is
comes to
also a big deal
travel
because,
burnout
you
and
know,
all
because of
that
those
good stuff.
relationships that
But
we
I'm
build,
definitely
Right.
going there. I'm going to be
it
helping
makes
out with
people
the
want to hang on a little more.
with the
Instead of just
conference.
being an asset, a crypto
I've
thing,
spoken
and
with
it's down.
RG3
Well,
and
wait a minute,
Kalen and
I'm going to
SJ
lose
and everything. And
my buddy
like I'm going to
RG
be,
or my buddy
I don't know if I'm
Maddie,
going to be
you
doing
know,
like
if I'm not
security
still
help
involved
stuff
in this. Yeah, I
or
like these guys,
like
and I like
function
being
or
around
admin or
this, you know,
logistics or whatever, but I am going to be
and a
playing a
lot of
part.
people
So
have those
it'll be a good time.
relationships at
It'll be
these
great.
Yeah,
events.
it's wild, man. Because back in the summer when I booked all the, because I booked travel from like August to February once a month,
yeah,
like going
thanks
somewhere.
for
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And at the
it's
time, it was exciting. It was like,
so many
hell yeah, I'm
events
going to
over
do
the years,
this.
and especially the one
But then,
coming
like,
up.
here I'm at
I
the
would
back end of it, and
recommend
I'm just
that
like,
everybody
geez,
go to
I want like
pulsechaintour.com
3 or 4
and
months where I don't have to
either
leave the
buy a
house, where I
ticket
can
or
pay my
the
power
conference
bill and know that,
going
okay,
on
I'm
in
actually
person
using
in
that
Las
power
Vegas,
and like
March 6th
actually
through
use my
9th.
oven and stuff
I'll
like
be
that.
there. I know a lot of
Yeah.
I know a lot of other people will
There's
be
something
as
to be
well.
said for
And
being
so
home
I
for a
would
long
encourage
period of
everybody
time.
to take advantage of this rare opportunity.
Right on, right on.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Plus, I was in
Appreciate you,
DC
man.
all of December.
Yep.
So,
Thanks for being on.
yeah.
Yep.
And we'll
Yeah,
catch
dude.
you
Take
later.
care.
That's
See you,
right. Yeah.
Hexkins.
Far away from like your little Baltimore zone. Oh, and they're doing a transition. Do you have a favorite part of the conference so far?
I really like the conversation that they kicked it off with today.
Yeah.
And
Oh
yeah,
man,
I mean,
I would have to see
I
that.
could be a little biased and say y'all's, the presentation that you guys gave, because
Sure.
like that was like a very, like, from the beginning, it wasn't like an awkward conversation. It was like everybody knew each other and the 9
Yeah.
people that were there.
Mhm.
But I am looking forward to tonight. It's like the final conversation. I am looking forward to that.
Oh,
Yeah,
excellent. I might not be able to stick around for that one. My buddy's
fine.
doing Spanish class down below. So I get if we need to, I could pass off the do you still have producer capability? Do you still have login stuff? Okay. Shit.
No.
I might just leave my computer running and just turn my camera off if you want to
Well, I mean, if somebody else hops in from the team,
yeah,
we can I could keep it going, but
okay.
I mean, yeah, if you need to roll out, like if nobody else is here, I'll just punch out.
I'll shoot a
It's
little
not a big deal.
message down into the leadership chat, see if anyone
to your
Oh,
guys's to all your
Cass is
different
out for this
pages.
one.
They're
That's
in
all
the
good.
YouTube description below, but I'll also drop them into the live stream
Not
as you
enough
guys
last
come
night.
in.
That's great. We
There is
appreciate it.
one producer
Thanks.
down.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. It's great to be here.
Anyone
C3 Works,
want
and
to hop
my
off?
co-founder of the project with me, RJ, is not here tonight. He's unable to make it, but I do have with us Supa Mecha Boxy.
So these got so C3. He's actually got a really cool protocol out, man. The actuator protocol for hex staking. I fucking
briefly before we step
love
in and
his
go
thing.
through some of the actuator protocol.
Yeah, so this is actually my streaming premiere. So I feel like I should introduce the motivation for my name. This is the real Super Mecha Boxy. It's a comic book character.
Actuators, one of the is the sponsor
So,
for tonight too.
My history with C3 is we started about 4 years ago. I was a freelance software developer, worked in various crypto related projects, not related to actuators, just like portfolio management, predictive modeling, and stuff like that. I started in Hex in 2021. Been following the RH ecosystem very closely ever since. I guess that means I'm part of some people think that means I'm part of a cult. I guess, whatever that
Hey,
means.
I'm gonna send some
But
messages
as far as
out, see if we
actuator
wanna
goes,
get a
like
couple other
about a
people
year
in here.
ago, they're developing actuator.
Sounds good.
They sort of just informally bounced ideas off me. And I started consulting about 3 months ago, I think. And so I'm sort of like an outsider. I know a lot about the project, but so yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Well, great. We're glad to have you here. And I think what we'll do to step through the actuator protocol and some of its summary points is I'm going to share my screen so that I can talk from the actual documents in the DApp itself. And let me see if I can make that work properly for us. And I'll highlight some points. So you should be seeing the main page of actuator.finance. Are we seeing that, Boxy?
Yes.
All right, great. So if you were to go to actuator.finance, you'll find we've got a very full set of documentation and the place from which you can launch the app. But let me just describe a bit of an overview of the protocol from here, and then we'll step into some of the things you can see by looking at the DApp itself. So what's the purpose of this? Well, you can sort of see it right here on the front of the page. It's to be able to activate the full value of your hex stakes. Now we're talking in this case about tokenized stakes, HSIs. This doesn't apply to native stakes, but it does apply to anything that's a pre-existing HSI. Maybe you bought some at the auctions, maybe you made some along the way, but anything that's a tokenized HSI will work. And you have the ability to get liquidity, market efficient liquidity out of your hex stakes for, life happens types of moments, or risk management within your portfolio, or a myriad of other reasons, as long as it's part of the intrinsic value that your stake has earned. So that's a big thing. So start with that as an overview, is the ability to draw liquidity out of your HSIs, your specific and personal HSIs. I'd like to say our place in this space, as we see it, would be the focus on the tokenized HSIs. Other projects out there provide some rewards, as you probably know, on the native staking, and that's great. And yet other projects have ways to provide exposure through pooled stakes and things like that. That's great. They're different tools in the box, which is what you'd like to have. And so we think this one has its place for those that want to have the individual control over your HSIs, because it provides you a custom portfolio, and yet
Check your
you have the
Telegram when you
ability
get a chance.
to access some liquidity where you might need to. So I'm going to shift away from this for a moment, and I think from here,
What's up, Funk Master? Good to see you,
we'll
bud.
look at a couple
How's
of
your night going?
particular things as we go.
So C3, when I'm imagining I'm new to this project. So let's get this out of the way. So how trustless is Actuator? Do you guys have admin keys? Is there software centralization vectors? How comfortable can I feel at least from a new project standpoint, getting into this?
Yeah, that's a great question and a point. Again, you'll find that on our site there, but we are completely decentralized. We've had 2 different security audits. We've had 1 financial audit. So we have no admin keys. It's just an immutable contract. In fact, it's even more important than that is while we provide this DAP that you're going to see, there's no requirement to use that DAP, right? There's no dependency on that DAP. Everything it takes to make all aspects function are in the smart contract that's immutably locked in the blockchain. So you have a lot of security in that, and it's just a matter of convenience to use this DAP.
So would you say you've had 100% uptime, perfect, flawless operation since launch?
Well, we have, yeah, we haven't had any issues at all. The test net went well, and we've been operating since October. So we're really pleased with that.
And one of the additional points I'd like to make is there's no sacrifice for this project, no pre-sale.
That's right.
There is an ACTR token, but you don't need it to, in this current stage, you don't need to use it to own it at all. We're probably not even going to really talk about it today.
Right. We won't talk much about that other than that you can know that the actuator token itself, its purpose is to be the revenue sharing element. There is a 1% minting fee when you'll see how the protocol works, but it's the actuator token holders who receive that reward. So that's as much as we'll say about that tonight.
So is this project
I guess
live
that leads me
right
to
now,
the next
Will?
question is like, so you spent all this time and mental effort and I assume money to develop this project, didn't ask anything from anyone.
If you're talking, you're muted.
And you're not even shilling a coin. So like, I guess to me, I'm skeptic.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
this
if it
project
actually
is
gets
live.
so,
I
like,
have
what was
used
your
it, and it
motivation
is super
for this
cool.
project? What keeps you going today?
So what exactly is it?
What made you think
So
of it? What were your
what
troubles?
it allows you to
Just
basically,
talk a little bit about that.
like I think they were just mentioning a minute ago,
Inspiration
take
for
your
this,
your
I
hex
was a day 1
stakes,
hexagon. So
and
I've been
if you
there
have
on
liquid
day
hex right now
1,
and you want to sell it,
aping
what
in
you can
more than I
do
was
is you can
supposed to,
instead
even
make
after
a
Richard
stake
warned us
for
all,
that same
like,
amount of
many of us did
hex,
anyway.
and
Then I
then
was
you
in there on
stake it
day
out
2
to
and
day
day 5
3,000,
and
day
day
5,000, or
35
day
below,
7,000,
and a
right?
lot of
Any of
days
those
along the way.
pre-selected days. Right now, we're
So
currently in
I've
like day
experienced, the good, the
1,850
bad,
or
and the
something like
ugly
that.
all along.
You stake it out to those
And
preset days,
Randy Hilarski said
and
something in his
you can
stream last night
withdraw
that I identified
the
with,
same number of
he said
HTT
he kind of
tokens
wished we
as
had
you would
actuator
have
out
in a hex
during
stake
this last cycle,
out to that day.
because we
And
all
then
know
the
that
protocol
life can get in
prints
the way
these
sometimes,
HTT
and
7,000,
even
5,000, or
with the
3,000
best of
tokens out
intentions,
of
you might have to access your
thin air
capital,
when you create this stake,
and
and they are a
you'd like to do it
one-for-one swap on the
non-destructibly
day
and
that your stake
reversibly.
ends.
And
And so what
I had to
happens
face one
is
of those. I had to go
the
through the
protocol, like
emergency end
basically
staking,
whenever
which I
you buy
hated.
and sell HTT
And
tokens, you're
I knew
basically
it was for a
guaranteed one
short-term
hex at
need.
that day
It's
in
not
the
as
future,
though it couldn't
because
have
the
been done
contract
through
prints them
other ways,
and
but other
then
ways were either
destroys them
messier or not
like
fast
on
enough.
that day.
And I
So
didn't have a temporary mechanism
you can
because it didn't
create a hex
exist.
stake,
It had to be a
print the
permanent
HTT
mechanism.
time tokens,
And that's
swap
when
them
I
for
felt
hex,
like, well,
and then
it
sell the
seems like we
hex
could probably
like
work to
today. But
develop
you now have a
something that could be
stake
reversible
in
and give us
your
some
wallet
access,
that
and
you'll
that would
be earning
actually
the
help.
interest on. The principal for that
That would
stake
help
doesn't, like,
many,
you
I
don't get
think,
access to that until
be
you
willing
repay your
to
HTT
extend
tokens back.
longer
And there is a
stakes
tax,
and
right? So like
larger
if you stake
stakes
1,000 hex,
if there
you get
was
like
some
990
mechanism that would
or
elegantly
you get
help
like
me get some
900
capital from
HTT
my
tokens.
earned
So
rewards
it takes a fee, gives it to
without being
the
destructive.
token stakers,
And
you know,
that's
the guys
the
that are
genesis
supporting the
of it.
protocol,
And then
and the guys that are
my
providing the
co-founder and
liquidity.
I put this
And it
together
basically
and
allows
we
you a
made it.
way to get
So
hex right
one of the
now
things
out
that
of a
I
stake
like
that's
about
going to come out
Actuator is
later
it,
by using
as
this
a software
protocol, and
developer, I have
also
a
everyone's
background in
liquidity
music
pools that
composition.
are
Like
that
I
are
relate
allowing
things
people
to
to trade
how
between
I
HTT and
analyze
hex. So this
Beethoven's
protocol
Fifth Symphony
also,
or Seventh Symphony,
they have a really deep
and like how
liquidity pool
masterful.
between hex and
Like to
HTT,
me, like
3,000,
Bitcoin
5,000,
seems
7,000.
in
So
its
when people like take their
back in the
HTT
day, it seems
tokens
like pretty
and they
elegant.
swap them for hex, the
Hex
people
seems
that
pretty
that
elegant.
have their tokens in the
I feel
liquidity
like
pool get
Actuator is a pretty
rewarded with
elegant
like
solution.
a
There's a
third
lot
party
of
token or something like
nuance
that.
to it and things
So It's pretty
it
cool.
can
So like if
run.
you want to sell your hex, instead of
So I
selling your
guess
hex,
just
you can
starting with the
stake it
simplest
first,
thing,
pull out the
you sort of
HTT,
already
trade the
mentioned,
HTT for a brand new hex,
what can
you
it
know,
do
and
for
it's
me
like
today? Like what's
it's worth
the
like 60 or
tangible
70%
benefit
or like
for an
50% or
average
something like that of what a
person
regular
in
is.
the
So
ecosystem?
if you have 100,000 hex,
All
you
right,
stake the
let me jump into
100,000
the app
hex,
and,
you know,
and
for
show you some
5,000
ideas
something
there
days,
on
all
the
the way up to
ground.
day
This
7,000.
is only going to be
You
the
trade
briefest of intro and the
that
time we've
hex
got, but
stake
it's
in.
enough to hopefully
You get
draw your
those
interest
printed
and
tokens.
let you want to
You
come
take those tokens, you
work with
trade
the
them for hex,
protocol
you
a
get
bit
50,000 or
yourself.
60,000 hex. You can then
Well, I'm
sell
going to
that
share
50,000 or
and start
60,000
now
hex
by going
while
for a
retaining
moment to the
your
FAQ
original
page.
your
We have a
stake that you
pretty
just made for 100,000 hex.
robust FAQ
It's, you
page
know,
for
it's
learning
printing
from
and it's
folks.
generating hex over time.
Much is built around
And
this concept of a
so
hex time
the
token. So let me
contract,
take a
when
second
when
and
that
talk about what a
finally comes
hex
to
time
fruition and it
token or an
ends, you know, like
HTT
12
is.
15 years down
Right
the
there at the
road,
top of the page.
the contract
Think of
ends your
it
stake for
like
you.
a
The
claim
contract takes all
check
the principal
on a
and you
hex
get all of
at
the
a given
interest.
redemption
So you
day.
can basically cash out
A
on 50% of your
one-for-one
hex now
claim check
and
that
get
is
all of the interest at the
blockchain
end of your stake
protocol
later.
enforced, no middlemen.
Gotcha.
So
Hey, can you
And
send
so for every
telegram
one
me
of these
the
HTTs you
never
have,
mind. I
let's
got the
say it was
invite
an
link right here.
HTT 3000.
yeah, let me see. Oh,
like
okay.
this is
No,
right
I got
now,
it because
which
yeah,
means
I got it.
that it's hex
Just give me
day
2 seconds here.
3000 is the redemption day, not 3,000 days from now. It's the hex day 3000. On
Yeah, they're
that
talking
day,
about
if
it
you have
now,
an
it sounds like.
HTT
Yep.
3000
I'll turn
in
the
your
volume up a little
possession,
bit.
you can redeem that for one hex, and the
We're gonna have a
protocol
third
will
person
exchange
popping in
that
here
for you.
soon.
Ooh,
So
very
think of
nice.
it as a claim check on an actual hex.
I'm not going to
one
tell
for
you
one,
who,
and
but
that is
All right.
nationally audited as an invariant. You get it on that day. Now, if we flip over to the app, are we seeing the DApp here?
Yes.
Foxy? Okay. Notice if you can focus in the center of this, there are 3 active HTTs right now that are fully liquid. And there's an HTT 3000, 5000, and 7000. Again, in the top right, it's all relative to hex days. And we're currently, as you can see, on day 1866 now. So over on the right, it'll tell you about how many years and exactly what redemption date that corresponds to. So staying with the same HTT 3000, we know that if you had, say, 5,000, let's say you had 50,000 HTT 3000s, you went out to the market and bought them. You would buy them for a price, which is at a discount to hex today. In fact, it tells you right here, it's a 31% discount to actual hex. But if you held that until February 18th of 28, 3.1 years from now, you could redeem through the protocol the 50,000 HTT 3000s for 50,000 hex. And you would get this return of 44.93% in native hex terms. None of these returns are in dollars or involved dollars. This is all the native hex earnings you're getting.
And
So
this is a locked rate, guaranteed. It's
Man,
not
I have so
guaranteed
many
rate
tabs open right now.
because you're buying a 1-for-1 hex at a known discount. In fact, you can see that on this graph right below here. And I invite you to come and just
So
look it
while
over.
they're describing that stuff, that's basically all of the same stuff that I was just telling you. Ooh, we've got another gentleman joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for Mr. Brissology.
oh,
What's up,
look at
amigo?
this savage!
What is up, Briss? Dude,
I
you
see
had a
the
good little.
guns.
How's it going, guys?
I
Oh,
see the
hey,
guns.
bro, that was a good panel you had there going just now. I caught the
Thank
only
you.
like the last little bit of it, but we fired up this little watch party just in time for you guys to hop off screen.
I did all my alpha right at the very beginning of the video.
Ah,
So
okay.
make
I'm
sure
gonna
to
have
go
to
back and check it out.
go back in and check it.
I'm not joking. I went out there. I'm like, hey guys, I want to put this out there. Blah.
Bam, and there we go.
Hey, what's been your favorite part of the conference so far?
My part, just I was rewatching my part just now.
Yeah, that doesn't sound biased at all.
That sounds exactly like the Brissology that we know and love. Well, cool beans,
No,
man. It's been
honestly, I was watching day one, and after it ended, I was just like, wow, that was a really good conference.
Yep.
And I missed a lot of day two, but I caught some of it. It was great. I liked it a lot. And then, you know, after the first segment, we were the second segment, and so now here we are.
Hell yeah. Day number 3, baby. Or no, is this Is this day 3? No, this is day 4. My God,
Cool.
I am
Man,
all sorts of out of whack.
time
I've
flies, huh?
Yeah, I've caught
Yeah,
all
it
of
does.
day 1 so far in replay gang. I still got to go through 2 and 3, and then actually no, we watched all of day 3 yesterday on Watch Party. But I must admit that for the times that I was talking about everything, I was definitely not paying attention to whatever they were talking about. So I'll have to go
You know,
through
it'd
it.
be really great if you get a couple people, excuse me,
Yeah.
to clip each segment out
Ooh.
of the whole 6.5 hour per day,
Yeah.
show, and just clip each segment so they can all be watched individually. That might be kind of cool.
I do think that Maddie might be doing that. I can't remember if he said it in the green room or if he said it like on screen with us, but he had mentioned I think he's done that in the past. I don't know if he's going to do it this year, but yeah, that would be super awesome if
It's a
people
lot
jump.
of work because you got
Oh
to
yeah.
screen record everything in real time again.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like if you watched, if you were there once, now you got to do it again. It's like, oh,
It
Yeah.
would almost be easier just to put in timestamps, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. People would like if the clip just comes up on X. I think people would really like to just what the f, Chad?
Chad
Fucking
fucking loves
Donner
it, right?
Schwanz. Nah, Chad's pretty cool. He's a jokester.
Oh yeah, we love Chad.
Chad
Chad's
has
good people.
jokes.
Are you going to Vegas in March, Briz?
I was kind of planning on it.
Do it. Do it, bro. I'll see you out
Not,
there, man.
it's not that far from me. Like there was a Bitcoin conference in Nashville. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not going to Nashville from California
Yeah, I
just
don't
to go
blame
to
you.
a conference. But then there's the next Bitcoin conference is in Vegas, like a
Mhm.
couple weeks right after the Pulse Chain conference.
Mhm.
So I'm like, man, do I want to go to both conferences?
I mean,
Is it really? Because I know the Bitcoin conference this past year was in the summer. Are they pushing it to the springtime for
Yeah,
2025?
like March 19th or something.
I'm googling it now. Let's see.
Yeah, so am I.
It's like
Bitcoin.
March 20th or something.
Yeah, because I want to say this year they typically don't do what did they do it? They did it in Miami 2 years ago, and I want to say that was around March or April also. I think they only did it in Nashville in the summer because of the weather, but I could be wrong.
Tuesday, May 27th through May 29th, Bitcoin 2025 at the Venetian.
Damn, that's like Memorial Day weekend almost.
Okay.
And right after the Nashville conference, I bought the Bitcoin conference tickets. They're a little bit cheaper. They're like $200 at the time.
Yeah.
But I figured this one might be even bigger because the last time they had freaking, I think, was Trump there? Yeah, I think Trump spoke or something.
I think so. Yeah. I
And so
think
I'm
Trump
like,
was at that one.
the next one might be even bigger. Who knows who comes to the next one? And if the tickets go up to like $600 each, well, now I have a $400 profit.
Yep. And you could use that to buy Hex or buy
Yeah, I
Pulse
could
Chain.
like scalp the
Take the
ticket.
Bitcoiners' money.
Honestly, that's what I was really thinking about. I was like, you know what? The tickets went up a lot.
Yeah.
I might be able to scalp it.
Yeah. Sell it on the Brissology market down there in Cali.
Yep.
Yeah, I presume you've steered clear of all the fires and all the craziness going on wherever the heck.
Yeah, that's
that's
all north of me.
Yeah.
So.
That's
Yeah.
fucking. It is crazy what's going on down there, man. My
I
God.
know. I'm seeing videos of people who just abandoned all their cars
Yeah.
for like, and then they just got a bulldozer just pushing them out of the road.
Oh man. Oh, that is freaking nuts.
But
That
I
is.
can smell the smoke from here. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember when Canada had the wildfires last summer. We could smell it trickling down here in Baltimore, like when they got really hazy in New York and Philly and Baltimore and stuff like that. But I can only imagine what it's like out there in Cali right now. You guys go through that shit every year, man. That's crazy.
Every year too. It's like super windy out here. Every like November-ish, it gets really windy.
Aren't there like, do they just like not clear out all the dead wood everywhere, or is it like
Apparently not. Apparently they
Okay.
don't rake their forests around here.
rake the leaves or nothing? I mean, if it's a thing that keeps happening over and over, right? And we know the stuff burns is lying around, perhaps perhaps getting rid of it
I
before it
think you
burns.
just described the definition of insanity.
It's
Yes, sir, he did. That's the exact definition of insanity.
But I mean, California is not known for that. We're all very conservative, and just
I think what we'll do here is just wrap this up. This was meant to be.
it definitely like doing the man, all the well thought and well reasoned legalities and politics and things.
Check us out in Telegram.
so. What's this actuator do?
So Actuator is pretty cool. I was explaining it to Josh earlier and the folks at home. Actuator allows you to take a hex stake if you make it through an HSI. If you make it for specific days, you can use the protocol better, but really any HSI will do. Essentially what it does is let's say you have 100,000 hex or whatever, and you want to sell it today, but you don't want to like lose all of your hex, So what you can do is you can take that 100,000 hex, you turn it into an HSI, you stake it out for whatever day it is today.
Is
It's
this like a loan protocol?
Yes, sort of. So what it does is it takes your HSI and it prints you out HTT tokens, which represent one future hex token, similar to like Maxi or Deci or whatever. But you take your loan token or the HTT tokens after you turn in your hex stake to the protocol mints you the number of minus like a fee or whatever. It mints you the number of tokens that your hex stake was worth. So 100,000 hex staked out for till day 7,000, you get 90,000 HTT tokens because there's like a 10% tax or something. So you get 90,000 HTT tokens, which then trade at whatever the market rate is for HTT tokens. And right now it's like 50% of a hex token.
And because it has the HSI, there's no risk of that being ended early, huh?
Correct. And well, so it's owned by
inside
the
protocol, right?
Yeah, the protocol is the one that like holds onto the stake. And any user at your hex's maturation date, any user can end your stake for you, and they get the reward because they're the one like doing the thing. So the rewards get dispersed out to everyone in the everyone that's like liquidity providing or doing something that helps the protocol out. So anyways, these HTT tokens are printed out of nowhere, but they stand for one future hex coin or one future hex token, and you get to pull it out and basically do whatever you want with it, buy it, sell it, trade it, put it in liquidity right now. So,
kind of sounds a little bit like a Maximus in a way.
Yeah, it's similar to Maxi, but you can like you get the liquidity immediately. So like
yeah,
but
that's
it
pretty
is
cool.
very similar. Yeah,
You
it's
know?
super cool. I've used it. And what's neat is like you can HTT 7,000 is trading for like 2 HTT for 1 hex. So you take your 100,000 hex, you stake it out, you get 90,000 HTT. You take that, you trade it for more hex, you get 45,000 hex. You take that, you stake it out, then you get 37,000 hex. You are 37,000 HTT tokens. You trade that for hex, you get freaking 20,000 hex, and you just keep going through this recursive loop, and you can create a whole bunch of stakes. And what's really cool about the actuator is that like you still get all the extra yield that comes with your hex stake, even after your stake is ended. So the contract only takes your principal. So like you stake your 100,000 hex back in the beginning, you still get all of the interest that stake earns when your stake is ended. So like,
Nice.
you
So might as
figure,
well do a quad 5, huh?
well, Quattro sync. So it's not as good to do a Quattro Cinco. It's like right now I think the number is like 5,130 to stake it out to day 7,000 because they only have liquidity pools for 3 of these tokens. You can make as many of the tokens as you want, but if there's no liquidity for them, then nobody cares about it. Right now they have 3 protocol liquidity pools of day 7,000, day 5,000, and day 3,000 for like, short, medium, and long term stakes. And so if you do a Quattro Cinco hex stake, then you get less HTT tokens out of it because of the 1 week the 1 week penalty after your end stake. So if your end stake is a certain number of days away from day 7,000, then you get less HTT printed because nobody in the protocol will be able to end your stake until that day, which means the hex would be bleeding, or it's something like that. So the way that I understand it, and I could be totally wrong here. This is just my interpretation of what Bill has said in a few streams. And we had him over on the DGen Roundtable. Nate's had him over on his Ascending Man channel. He's done the rounds with a whole bunch of other different content creators. The C3 Works, which is Bill, and some of the other actuator guys. But staking Quattro, you can stake Quattro Cinco and take those HSIs and turn them into HTT tokens, but it's not as like efficient as doing it like staking to day 7,000 specifically, whatever the number of
Alright.
hex days is. But
Okay.
yeah, it's a
Well,
super
whatever
cool.
locks up more hex, I'm all
Yeah.
for it.
Yep. And so what's really cool, the way that Bill described this is this creates something of a bond market, similar to like treasuries and certificates of deposit and stuff like that. So I don't, Josh, maybe this would be more of your wheelhouse because I don't really know how the TradFi market works with like bond markets and CD markets and trading around like locked up dollars or anything. But I know that people they'll treat the HTT tokens, is what Bill was saying, similar to the way that like bond markets work. So, oh, excuse me. It sounds like a really cool TradFi thing brought
Cool.
over. Did you have any
Yeah.
thoughts on it, Josh?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know the first thing about the project, but it could be a good segue to get TradFi investors into the system. Like if they have something that they're used to, you know what I'm saying? If they have a method that is similar to like bond trading and stuff like that in the system, then it could, be a good gateway into the ecosystem in general.
Yeah, I think that's what his goal was that he had told us, was that he wants to get more TradFi folks in, showing them tools that they're already used to, just crypto based now instead of TradFi based.
Josh, I see you rebranded to Avenge the Fallen.
Yes.
It reminds me of an early 2000s alternative rock band, like the emo band.
Yeah, it's it was an old like gamer tag when I was playing Call of Duty, and it like taps into like my military days and stuff like that. Like that's Avenge the Fallen. So, but yeah, I figured Chocolate Taints was funny and it ran its course, but yeah, it was time to rebrand a little bit. So,
not gonna lie, Chocolate Taints did stand out a lot.
Oh, I mean, that was one of the reasons why I used that, why I came up with it. I was because who's going to forget Chocolate Taints? Like, you're going to see that name and you're going to be like, who the hell's going to forget about it? But it just got to a point where it was like, okay, well, if I want to like message like mid-level like content creators and stuff like that, it's like, are they even going to read a message from somebody named Chocolate Taints? You know what I'm saying? So ultimately,
who's that good investment advice from? Chocolate Taints.
Right.
That's my financial advisor.
It's like this guy's picture is like melted Hershey's bars. Like, what are we talking about here?
It works out for you because like if the SEC comes after you, you'd be like, bro, my name was Chocolate Taints. Like seriously.
Yeah, it's like when you hear
about who's taking financial advice from Chocolate Taints. Yeah. Like, who's doing that?
It reminds me of people talking about like trying to sue Roaring Kitty or like just all these other like online personas, and it's just like, come on, guys, come on, like What do you
Yeah,
think?
that was the GameStop guy, wasn't it? Roaring
Yeah,
Kitty.
yeah, he was the one that exposed all that, and like, I don't know if that stuff's still going or like if there's still shorts or longs out. Like, I've watched a lot of Ian Carroll's content, who's super smart gentleman who covers a lot of like conspiracy-ish stuff. But from
Have you
what I
seen the
understand,
movie on that?
oh, there's a movie.
Oh yeah, they made a movie on it, dude.
What?
Yep.
That's
Yep,
Wait,
awesome.
they
what did
made
you
a
make a
movie on
movie
it
on?
and everything.
I gotta look this up.
The what was it? The GameStop
Oh yeah,
situation. Yeah, they made a
Dumb
movie on
Money.
it. Dumb Money. Yep, that's
Dumb
exactly what it's
Money.
called.
Holy shit.
Dumb Money. Yeah. It
It's
was on
really
Netflix,
good.
I think.
It's
Yeah,
really
it's pretty
good.
good.
No. Okay, Seth Rogen. Oh my God, Pete Davidson.
Yeah, it's a good
Okay.
one, dude. If you get a chance to watch it, it's definitely a good one. I put that up there with like The Big Short. I think The Big Short's probably
Yeah.
my all-time favorite financial movie. Like I could watch that movie and just nerd out. That's just one of those movies that I absolutely love.
I remember when I was walking out of the theater to the highest of stakes, they had a Dumb Money poster on the wall. I'm like, oh, look at this. About to watch like the next Hex movie, Dumb Money. It was pretty funny.
This is great. What are these guys talking about on the conference right now? It looks like we got some
We went
X
as
over
high as
pulse
a
X.
300% move. Let's actually measure this move back here to see if, okay, it wasn't higher.
Briss,
So
do you
this
recognize
was
this voice?
the
I don't
most
know who this is.
outperformance
Oh,
for
Hansi.
Hex versus PLSX and outperformed it by 300%. And we are currently
I was gonna say it's not
outperforming
David
PLSX
Fader.
by
We already talked
Yeah.
about that.
150%.
A little
So
TA
Hex
time.
has outperformed PLS
Conference.
and has outperformed PLSX. But
Who is Hansi?
Hey, I'll be
I've
right.
heard
much
I'll be right back,
closer
boys. Just give me a
to
second.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
versus
Yeah, yeah.
PLSX than versus PLS, which just tells us that Hex has outperformed PLS.
Do you know Hansi at all, Briss?
much
I've never
more than
interacted
it
with this
has
gentleman before.
outperformed PLSX.
Yeah, I've seen him on X.
We won't go into the PLS.
He's
and the
done a lot
PLS
of videos
situation
with
today, because
KDP.
this is exclusively
Okay.
about Hex today. But pretty much just to give you an idea, PLSX has been outperforming PLS consistently since it
I
bought.
gotta get off this chair.
So that is Hex versus PLSX. We can also
I'm
look
super
at
bullish on
inverted pair if we
PLSX.
wanted to get rid
Pulse
of
X.
our own
Yeah,
biases.
but I kind of actually
But
recently
sometimes a
put
good
a
idea to look at charts
big
inverted.
chunk of money into it,
Ooh,
And
nice.
and
once again, here we can
it
pull
did
up
great.
our
It did like a
the
38%
and we
jump.
can see here.
And I was
let's
like,
just go back to the
sweet.
title.
And
We
now
want
it's
to buy
like
PLSX with
down.
Hex.
No, it's
Yeah.
down like
We can see
25%.
here that this
Yeah.
is
I am
it
I
is
am
on a
fully
sell, right?
allocated. I got
We
no
are
dry powder
down
left,
from
and
the
I've been
highs
out of work for like the
a
last
staggering
almost 6 months now. So
59%,
I'm just like
right?
cruising on my
It's
little
in your
passive
little
income
blocks.
streams here and there, and so it's like,
And
oh man,
this is
wish I
Yeah,
could buy this
I-
make a dip right now.
I took the money out of one of my
Once
farms.
again, there will be
I was
Yeah.
like, you know what,
times
man?
will,
I think we're on the
be
brink
cheap versus
of a
PLX,
bull
but in
run.
this case, and there will
So
be
I'm gonna
times
shut
where
down that
PLSX will
farm
be
Yeah.
and take all the stable. It was a
and I don't
stable
know if
coin
I
farm,
repeated myself
and
Yep.
so I took all the
That's
stable coins and I put them all
5%.
into Pulse X. I was like,
So
all right, let's go.
PLSX versus Hex, I
There you go.
personally would have swapped.
So I figured, we could see a at least a 10x in the next year. So I think I'd rather be holding on to Pulse X versus trying to get a 64% in the next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you're
And now
talking
it's
about
even
the,
less than that. It's like under 50%. It's like 48%.
you're
So
talking
I'm
about the
like,
stable farm.
yeah, the stablecoin farm. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take it out of the stablecoin farm. I'm going to put it into the asset. And I'm going to try and catch that wave up.
There you go. Was this a stable farm on PulseX? The one that
Yeah.
how does that work? Do they pay you in the stable coins, or does it pay you in incentive?
Ink. They
Oh, it
pay you
pays in
ink.
ink.
And then you use
Oh.
the ink to just buy whatever you want,
Yeah, yeah. That's fucking cool. I did not know that it paid in ink. I thought it paid in stable fees. Like it takes the cut off of the stables.
They do have a stable coin pool. It doesn't get ink, it only gets trade fees. But I think that one The last time I
Hex
checked,
just left
it was like
value versus
doing
December.
17%.
Okay. So when you said
So
farm, are you talking about like the pulse to like
we don't
DAI
know
or
if
pulse
this
to
might go
Tether or
lower
something
again.
like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I was doing
Oh,
the Pulse to USDT
Overperformance we have
was my
gotcha,
seen.
preferred
gotcha.
farm
So
Okay.
let's
because
see
you'd get
our
like 60% APR.
Yeah, yeah.
by
So like you put 100K in, you're
Yep.
making 60 grand a year.
Yep.
then the
Like
incentive
to
token
me,
will
that's
show
like
some
practically
strength.
retirement money.
Yeah, basically.
You know, I
Hex
mean
volume
that
was
pays for all
resilient
my
and
bills
then
every
rallied
month.
up
Mhm.
stronger. And let's measure up the second
And
leg.
so yeah, so I was farming with that, but I was like, you
Here
know what?
is Hex.
I think we're on the brink of a bull run,
Overall,
and
yield rates, we are slightly
and
above
I don't want to be holding. I don't want to be in that farm.
the
And when
so
PLS
Yeah.
shoots way up,
Yeah.
I all of a
has
sudden
done
have like
a little bit
only
late.
1/3 of the
And
PLS,
we'll do the
Yep.
right?
shorter term time
And so
frame.
I'm
You would
like, you
have a
know what?
lot of the stable, but yeah, you
And
would
we
have
can
a
see
lot
here
less of
that
the valuable coin.
the incentive swapping
Yeah, I
to
think
token for
you
Hex
know
here
a
is
10 to a
overnight.
100x is practically a guaranteed in the
we are
next
using
year.
the second one to buy.
And so I'm like, that's just way more
So
money than
definitely not worth
64%
swapping
APR.
Yep.
What sentiment did you see, or what made you come to that thought process that we're on the brink of a bull run?
It's just mostly about the 4-year cycle,
here for this chart as
and
well.
everything just feels like it's lining up.
So in this
You know,
case,
we got Trump in there as the Bitcoin president.
selling
Gary
Hex
Gensler
right
is leaving, and so will most of his
clean up the
court
chart a little
cases
bit.
probably.
And you know what? We'll even go
And we're gonna have a pro crypto person
so the
in
incentive
charge,
token that outperformed
and
here for this short while.
and then on top of that, the 4-year cycle indicates that 2025
It has
is
been
going to
taking
be
funny
the
to
year
find
that the money
right
just starts
here
pumping
at
in.
the floor.
And
And if we
so yeah,
really
so I'm
use
like, you know
our
what? I'll take a
sales
small
tool,
break from
we
farming
are well within
the
this.
aggressive farms
If I wanted
and
to swap
take a
my
chance at
here,
a
this
miracle.
chart shows me that I'm getting it very, very cheap.
I like it.
Let's just
I like
measure
the
it
zeal.
from the lows to where
I'm
we are
personally
at.
a fan of
I'm
the
getting
belief
a
system, the
1x
zealotry. I
or
was
a
making
2x
fun of
from the
everyone's
lows.
of the
So
fact that we're all just basically a whole
very,
bunch
very
of religious
low,
people.
but you do run
You know,
the risk
Yeah.
but
that
it is what it is. I think it's
Hex
great, and we should, and
outperforms,
I embrace it.
continues
You
to
know, and
outperform the incentive
it's a
token.
fun little
But
game.
we don't know
Fun
what's
little
going to
game of
happen. All we
gambling
have
on
is the
gambling
data
on my
here
future.
that tells us that
Repent by giving up all your dirty fiat and become a born again money person by buying crypto.
and
Mhm.
We
reverse.
still have so much more run room too when it comes to
But either way,
money that's coming into the system, like
this
just
yeah.
Bitcoin itself.
I don't want
So
to
much.
specifically
Like I
show
checked it
the
today, the terminal price is $195,000, which
positions you already
every
have
cycle
in and out of them into
in the
ratio.
past has
So
at
what
least reached the
this
terminal price
segment
before
shows
it's
you
reached
is
its sell-off
I am.
point. So
if you do have dollar cost averaging coming in, it sometimes
Hang on one
dude,
moment,
we,
fellas.
I said this on the stream earlier that we probably got only roughly about 50,000 people in our ecosystem. Truly, when we get 1 million people onboarded, dude, everyone that's here right now, it's gonna be great. Because if we can get 1 million people just buying like $100 a month, I mean, think about it.
not only on the macro but also on the micro.
It's $100 million of
versus USD.
income flow, inflows,
Put us back into value.
and they're waiting even longer. They got
I mean,
their own
if they're
3 to 10-year time frames.
because that is where
So it's gonna be great.
yeah,
It's so early.
it is. I also want to mention something interesting. So in one of the segments last night,
very, very high PLS and not on a sale.
Crispy had made a comment, and I sent him a DM. I'm hoping he can hop on, hang out with us for a couple minutes. But he was talking about how, with Bitcoin, it has its 4-year cycles, and that's what the traditional crypto market has had is 4-year cycles. He was talking about a 15-year cycle for Hex, and that's the first time I had ever heard that. And I want to talk to him a little bit more about that sort of theory of a 15-year cycle, which obviously it makes sense. The early founders of Hex, they were bullish enough they would have maxed it out 15 years, in the beginning. So, theoretically from 2019, 2020, 2021, if they had maxed it out 15 years, that would take it to what, 2034, 2035, 2036, sometime like that, when a lot of those end stakes are going to be coming up. So, I mean, I know for me, I ended a stake on New Year's, and as soon as I ended it, I just set it out to my daughter's 18th birthday. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about it for the next 10 years. I'm just going to set this stake out, I can pretty much remove Hex from my trading view. Like, I don't care about the price for another 9.5 years.
It's a powerful thing, man.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing about Hex is it like I can just remove my need to think. Like it's gone. Like every single little Quattro Cinco that I make, it's like, oh, that's not a thing anymore. It doesn't exist. It's I am free.
Another thing to think about too is Richard designed this product to be a 15-year long product, like minimum, or maximum, but you can keep going after the 15 years. But like if you stake on the first day for 15 years, you're kind of locked in for 15 years. So I was thinking, it'd be kind of crazy for RH to launch something with at least a 15-year lifespan, but not have a plan for those 15 years. Like, we just got done with our first like real cycle, and Richard's still here, and it's like, guess what, guys? He's gonna be here by the end of the next cycle, by 2028, and we're gonna be here again by 2032, and we're gonna be here again by 2036. So it's just like
Hex from Post-Gen has
we got so much room ahead of us to grow.
Original Hex
Oh, yeah.
significantly, right? This asset ratio is down currently.
But the main point that I was trying to get to was it'd be crazy for Richard to not have a plan in his head to keep this going for at least 15 years.
Yeah, I think that's
I just want to say I don't think it's in Richard's head to launch this thing, do it for a year and a half, and then like, all right, I'm done. I don't want to play this game no more.
Yeah.
We're very, very close.
Well, yeah, and his whole idea, the thing that he really wants to solve is the longevity problem, is the people living longer. That's his goal, and crypto is essentially a means to an end to do it. And from what I understand, from what he said a few times before, and I could be, totally butchering this or whatever, but he wants to basically help make a whole bunch of wealthy people so that way there can be more smart people and more rich people putting money forward into the longevity project and helping people live longer, because that's the ultimate goal. Is he's sick of people dying, and he wants to be surrounded by more winners and like be appreciated for making a great product that helps people get into a position where they can win a lot in life. And so like
we need more Nikolai Tesla guys in the world.
Yep. And it doesn't do us any good if all the Nikola Tesla guys are super broke and they don't have a means of staying wealthy, or they never have the opportunity to like get an education because they're poor, or they don't have power or something. So like by developing the thing that allows the common person to level up in this world of money printing, then like not to say that like it's a perfect system or anything, but it's better than what currently exists in the traditional finance system, and it's better than Bitcoin, it's better than Ethereum, and like having the high quality tools allows for more smart people to be free of the lower end of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and then focus on the cooler things, such as like solving the real world problems, like how do we live longer, So
I'm gonna run
how do we implant chips in our brains?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just taking a page out of Will Stevenson's book here, Peanut Brain Diamond Hands.
Yep.
I'm not selling a single thing that I've bought. I'm either going to write it down to zero or I'm going to sell it at a massive profit. So
There you go.
that's it. That's it.
I've
But you can't lose if you don't sell.
got time on
I
the hand.
think everyone's time frame should span out to at least 2028, 2029.
Down here.
Anyone selling this cycle, the first cycle, you're doing it wrong for the most part.
Full value of your hex stakes.
Unless it does a 99% dump.
The
Yeah.
problem
then
is
you
that
did okay.
the problem though is it takes an extremely experienced and mature investor to be able to do that, because most people, especially the new people in Pulse Chain, a lot of them were attracted due to the shiny new object, and a lot of them might not necessarily have that experience to hold on to it. So, you know, when they see, oh, I've done a 50x, I'm going to punch out. When, you know, hey, look, hold on to it for another 6 years, that 50x can turn into a 3000x, or it can turn into a 15,000x, depending on what the trajectory is. So,
If only you had a mechanism to prevent you from selling.
I know,
in
right?
15 years.
I know. Somebody should create something like that. I agree.
Yeah.
That would be a very good thing to have on a blockchain.
Yep.
I agree. Then we could get together, have conferences about it, have watch parties. Like, I don't know. I like
I'd have
the
to name
idea.
it something simple though. Like have to have like a three letter domain name or something nice and easy to remember. Can't be misspelled, you know.
And almost like a shape.
Yeah.
Maybe
The shape you see everywhere in nature. You know?
like no, I would say circle, but that wouldn't work.
I'm thinking like based off of triangles, because triangle is the most solid shape. So like I don't know, just throw a bunch of triangles
What if you
together.
put two trapezoids on each other?
Ooh, that could work.
Upside down.
We'd have to make sure that it's nice, bright, pretty colors that catch people's eyes and has like a nice little good attention grabbing thing. And we'll throw some numerology in there too. Maybe some trifecta, or maybe like maybe throw in some I don't know, some famous stuff like diamond numbers or things like that. Who knows? Cool little product.
You can also find us on Telegram at Actuator Finance.
Oh, they're doing more actuator.
Now
Oh,
here's 30 seconds of Hex related music, and then
Oh.
our next panel will be on screen.
Hex music. All right, here we go.
All the Hex music is freaking, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been good.
And
Is it AI or is it
No,
actually
these
like
are-
a
No,
person?
these are people.
Yeah,
These
these
are
are
people.
real people,
Okay.
man.
Yeah, Okeechobee. I want to see if Maddie knows about
Tricks.
crypto black sheeps. Yeah, Black Sheep
I'm
has a
surprised.
really good like let's go down to Hexaco song, and then like on the Pulse chain. The guys over the Degen protocol.
Hey, fast
Ooh,
at
this is a
duel.
good panel.
We're back.
This is a good
Hey,
panel.
what's up, everybody?
Man, I'm not a big fan of
Excited
Dipcatcher
for
though.
your guys' panel.
Tanto?
You can
Tanto
go ahead and
Nomini?
take it away.
Yeah, I think he's a little
He,
bit of a
And,
budster.
really looking forward to what you guys
He's one of the
discuss
first
when it
people
comes to
that built the
anything Hex
404s, right,
related.
on Pulse chain with the Gopher thing.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Manny.
I would love to see
So I think this is called
more
Looking
of
Ahead.
that in the world of like
If I remember
validators
correctly.
or something like if
How
someone
looking ahead,
like
I
NFT
think there's
validators
so
but
much to
make
talk
them
about. The whole thing is
404s where
based about the
folks can
future.
like sell them back and forth or
Yeah,
like something
very
like
true.
that. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'm gonna
I'm
turn the
stoked.
volume up a
I-
little bit on these fellers.
Yeah.
Let me know when it's too
exactly. I
loud.
feel like I had a come to Jesus, Hex Jesus moment not long
We
ago.
may have somebody else
and
hopping
just
in with us, Will. I'm not sure.
Really
Okie dokie.
felt
Josh,
like I
if
felt
I
reconvicted
I'm
that
gonna have to leave
Hex
here
really
in
is
in
the
about
goat,
10 minutes or
and
so. I can just leave the
like,
stream running. I'll have to turn
it's
off my
fun
turn off
to
my
learn
camera and
about
mute my
new projects,
um,
and we can't have a ghost chain.
I'm actually
right?
I'm waiting on a
But
message,
I know that
and then
for me,
I gotta
big
go when that
reason
message
I'm in
comes.
Hex is because
Okie
I'm
dokie.
I think it's
so
gonna
Yeah,
get
attracted
here in
to
the
the
next
thought
40
of it
minutes.
just
So,
being
so
Okay.
FYI.
something that
sure thing. Yeah.
I can
If
do.
we want to keep
I
this
can
stream rolling,
interact with
I'm
the
down to
contract,
leave it
stake my
running and
Hex,
stuff. And
and
right
then
now,
not have
unfortunately,
to
I'm
look at the price
producing, so
every
like
day.
if somebody else joins,
Right.
like
And coming
I won't
into the
know
community
unless
and being a part
a
of the
call or something.
community,
But oh, look at that,
it's a little
ladies and
different,
gentlemen,
right? Because my
introducing
friends and family
Mr.
that I've
Crispy
onboarded, they don't
Man.
look at the
What's
price every
up,
day.
Crispy?
What's
Aloha.
I
up?
end up either seeing
Crispy
it
man.
because I'm on X,
Excellent.
My favorite
or, you know,
DJs.
like I'm looking at something
Yes.
else and it pops up, right?
Yo,
So
Josh, you actually have a
it's an
cool
interesting
question
journey,
for
but
Crispy
at
Man.
the
Do you
end
want to
of the
launch into
day,
it?
I really am.
Uh-oh.
You're
I'm glad
muted
that
right now,
Hex
amigo.
exists because it just
Nice try.
it makes so much sense, and it's
Yeah,
such
you
a
mind
fun
turning
thing
the
that
conference
only
down just a
has
little bit
within
more?
Yes,
itself.
a little bit more.
And
Let me go down to about
Crispy,
10.
so I was saying when you before you had hopped on, you had made a comment in your presentation last night that I had never heard before, that Hex has a 15-year cycle as opposed to the Bitcoin 4-year cycles. I was wondering if you could expound on that a little bit, because when I heard it, I even made a comment during our watch party. I was like, I haven't heard that before, but it sounds genius.
Yeah. Yeah. So this came out of a good conversation I had with Silver. Of course, Silver getting beat up a little bit right now because of the Alti thing. But when we were talking about Hex, we're kind of going through how long it takes for things to change within Hex. And Hex is really slow moving, man. So I know you watch some of the stuff that I do. Dude, every week I could just put up the same chart from last week. It'll look the same almost, right? You know, T-shirt rates going up, it goes up a little bit, you know, payouts, all that kind of stuff, but it moves so slow, right? And so the theory that I got here is it really is a 15-year cycle superimposed over the, over the regular cycle. Because it's going to take that amount of time. I know some of us won't like this, but it takes that amount of time to renew all the people, all the stakes, right? So 15 years later, all the stakes are ended, man. Right? There's nobody left from the beginning. And that's kind of at the same time as I say that, right? You know, we have these difficulty increases equivalent to a BTC difficulty increase. They happen sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. So it's a concept, you know, that Hex really is designed to be a long-term staking ladder, right?
I was gonna say, it seems to me it takes about 10 years for cryptos to really like get their foot in there. Like no one really cared that much about Bitcoin until after it was like 10 years old, and same thing with like Ethereum now. It's like no one really cared about it until it really stood the test of time.
Yeah. Well, but that's true to a certain extent. I agree. Right? We all love it now at $3,000 or $4,000, but I didn't buy very much at $2.
Yeah.
I think $1.28 when I first could have bought it. Right? It's like that. Like I don't know if Dip Catcher's going to get into it on this thing right now, but I have a different viewpoint than he does about some of this stuff for sure. Because quite often he'll talk about how the stakers get too much inflation, and I have exactly the opposite opinion, which is that they're getting just enough. Well, the theory is, hey, the reason the price can't go up better, and this kind of does feed into this whole 15-year thing. The reason the price can't go up further and faster is because there's too much pressure from too much inflation coming out. And on the surface, I get the argument, but you know that argument only works for me if I'm trying to sell on your heads, right? So, what it was essentially saying is, hey, listen, me as a speculator, I don't have as much upside potential because too many stakers get too much, right? And it prevents me from getting more, right? But my counter to that whole thing is, wait a minute, listen, the reason the stakers get that is because they stake. You know, the reason I'm in profit on my initial EHEX stakes, and I know everybody came in at different times, right? But if you look at an EHEX staker who had been DCing all the way from the beginning, every week, like they followed the plan, you know, they built a ladder, and every week they bought a little bit more. They're in profit. Not only are they in profit, assuming they staked it in the ladder, right? Not only are they in profit, but they also got a free copy. I mean, it's so, yeah, I think at some point here, you know, and this is why it does take time, that all gets cleared out, right? And we'll be able to see really clearly that even people that bought at the top and staked did well. But it doesn't feel that way today.
Yeah, because there certainly will come a time where it's like everybody holding isn't going to sell. You know, it's like they understand that, all right, you know, I'm not going to sell it. Therefore, I can make what the price is, and that'll just drive the price up. So yeah, that makes sense.
All that inflation is being allocated to the 15%.
Right, because the whole idea about the whole staking, right, is that you're going to get more hex that way. That's the whole idea. And some people haven't picked up on it, but I'm watching it pretty closely. APR on Pulse Chain isn't changing a whole lot, guys. And it's not because people are staking long. It's not changing because people are staking short, countering the effect that we're seeing with fewer long stakers. Now, whether that's, it's hard to tell whether or not that's just grassroots, kind of like normal interaction, or whether or not there are big parties making that happen. But regardless, you look month over month, you're seeing the hex locked nearly staying the same or always growing. And that's pretty interesting to me, because when you go look at those APR charts for what the average APR is on the system, it's pretty steady, man, 37 to 40%. And it's like every once in a while we'll get a bump up, right? Because somebody does extra, does some sort of extra, penalties or something, and it goes beyond 40. But man, it's eerily flat in a range, which if people were if people were completely fading staking, that would not be happening, right? You'd see more like EHEX, where you're going up into the right in the APR.
I looked at all my stakes the other day, and my youngest stake is like 4 years old now. Yeah, it's about 4 years old. And so and most of them, like the minimum I was getting was like 50% APR. So it's like I had 200% total gain, but because it's split over 4 years, 200 divided by 4, so I was making like 50% APR. But I will put a little asterisk with that, and I think a lot of those are because of the big payday.
The problem that gets worse every day, it's not so much those short-term rollers.
Yeah, the thing I love most about the staking feature is that I don't have to worry about the price until my stake's about to come to an end. And, Crispy, I was telling the guys earlier, I just set a stake out until my daughter turns 18. I was just like, boom, nice. I'm going to punch it out. And now I can delete Hex from TradingView if I want to, and not worry about the price for, 2 more presidential cycles before I even have to, even consider, hey, is this something that, what's going to be my plan here? Is this something that I'm going to cash out, or am I just going to punch it out farther down the road?
However, keep an ear to the railroad, because who knows, it might osmosis and give you a double.
Yeah.
No one was expecting it, but now he got it.
Yeah.
Might get a triple. You might get a quadruple.
Yeah. I do have a little liquid. I got a little liquid in case, it moons. I didn't want to be completely, it's like 20%, but the rest of it, I was like, throw it down the road.
Yeah, this last cycle taught us a good lesson on how things could work. So I never expected, right, we'd get to the kind of all-time highs that we saw so quickly. Not in the beginning. I didn't see that, right? And so I was planning on a penny. What does that look like, right? And so with a staking ladder that went out pretty far, I didn't stake as much short, for sure, right? And then when it was coming out in the middle of the bull, I was like, nah, I'm going to keep it in, right? And I'm happy with that decision now, because it's out 15 years or whatever. And I filled in all my rungs and all that stuff, but it made it a little sparse for there being a top. So yeah, I think one of the things people forget when we're talking about the whole Hex thing is that when you stake, you're making a commitment. I made a commitment, so the stuff's in there and I can't get it out. And so therefore, if I truly had wanted to sell the top, then I should have kept some liquid, or had a rolling 30 day. or something of that nature, which I didn't do. Right. So those are the kind of techniques. But the cool thing about having, particularly because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, and we don't know if we're on 4-year cycles forever, or it becomes a 3.5-year cycle, or suddenly we have a 7.5-year cycle. Don't know. We don't know. Right. People say all sorts of stuff. Last year we were talking about rate translated freaking charts, which didn't happen either. Right. All these different things that could happen. Right. So one of the things, and you don't even have to go to crypto to find this, you go to look at CD ladders, right? One of the things you can do to mitigate that is you set up a ladder so you have hex every year come out. I know people that have specifically set it up so that they'll have 1 million hex a year. And sure, right now that's not enough to live on, but I mean, someday it could be. Certainly was enough to live on at the top.
And if you can get 1 million hex every year, you might ruin yourself. Like right now, you might geez, what's the word I'm looking for? You might fudge yourself out of the system and sell all your liquid. But who knows? Maybe that was like really the wrong bad move to do. But if you have 1 million coming out in 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, who knows? Those might be worth $1 each at the time. And so you could fudge yourself out early, but you save yourself with that hex ladder.
Yeah. I mean, like always, I think a lot of people think the way I'm talking, but maybe they don't. If you get a hex stake that comes out, like anything else, right? You're going to do whatever you're going to do to bring it out, whether you're going to keep it in or not. You'd make a decision, right? But let's say you're ending the stake, you need to evaluate the current situation. You have a stake ending in May. It looks like it's going to be the top. Well, maybe you make one choice, right? Some people look at those stakes. I think this is where we're hoping it'll go. The way I think it'll go. You look at those stakes. Well, listen, I only need 10% of it. At what, because maybe it is worth $1 million. I don't know, right? How much you need, right? Because you can't get more hex later. I mean, yes, I know I can do the trading stuff and sell high and try to buy low, but that requires a lot of my attention and energy, and it discounts the risk that I screw up. Where hex, man, if I had the ladder already set, I mean, what could be easier than me setting a long-term ladder? I mean, like you said, Josh, right? I don't even have to look at it. It's just there, right?
I think that's like what keeps me up at night, honestly.
And then
and Briz had made a comment. I think it's worth repeating. Because you were talking about how a lot of people seem really short-sighted in PulseX and like the Pulse Chain community. You had said that earlier, right, Crispy?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Anyway,
yeah,
I didn't say it
because even Briz made a comment that people don't even need to consider doing anything with their bags that they have in Pulse Chain until 2028, 2029. And I think that's smart as well. I think there are a lot of short-sighted people. I think a lot of people got bought in off the hype of, a 5,000x within the first year. All the videos that were being made when the SAC was coming out and all that stuff. And then once the project finally released and it didn't come to fruition, I think a lot of people are really short-sighted.
But that isn't a Pulse Chain thing. That's a crypto thing. That's a world. That's a world thing. That's
true.
Like that's an everybody thing. Like how many people?
That's a get rich quick attitude. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude, we all got that problem. I think I had that problem too. I mean, until I realized. So I like to say sometimes I grew up, right? Like I became an adult. Sometime around the time I was about 47, 48, and I was like, this just sucks. I'm making too much money to not have any money. Can't pay my bills. All that kind of crap. Like, what's going on here? It wasn't like I was making good money. I mean, I was making over 6 figures. What the frick? Why couldn't I pay my bills? Whose problem is this? It's somebody else's problem, right? No, it's my problem, right? I had to figure out what my problem was. And actually that's how hex fits into my scope really well, because I got involved in that whole fire movement, and I went from being negative balance to doing like a 50% savings rate. Now, I'm not saying that's what you got to do. I'm just saying that's what I did, right? I mean, people do all sorts of stuff in between, But that being at a 50% savings rate for 4 or 5 years, yeah, you know what? It changed my life, right? And so I already was thinking delayed gratification. I could do this with food; it'd be a lot better, but I can't do it with food. But I can do it with money, right? This delayed gratification thing, and the idea that put it away. So that matched really good with Hex because at that point, what I was trying to do is figure out, okay, how could I retire? And one of the things that and I started doing like coaching and stuff for people with nonprofits and stuff. And the first thing you sit down with somebody, say, well, how much you need to retire? And you say to me, oh, I want to retire. I want to have $100,000 a year. So I go, click, click, click. Let's multiply that by 25. Okay, you need to save $2.5 million. Why? Because in TradFi, the thumb rule is 4%. Like most people are like, what? We call it the efforts. Like even I would be like, well, where the frick am I going to come up with $2.5 million, right? To be able to save that. I mean, come on, it's a real, it's like a 4-minute mile thing. It's like until you do it, you don't do it.
And now to put that into perspective, we have farms on Pulse X doing 50% APR. So now you can get your 100K a year with a mere 200,000 instead of millions.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're saying 4%, right, and let's just use your 50%, right? So 50% is let's just divide 4. How do I want to do this? So you're making about, if I divide that by 4, you're making about 25 times, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? 50 divided by 4, right? Oh no, it's not 25 times. So instead of making 4%, you're making 50% in that case, right? So now you're at 12. You're at 12.5x, right? And so in order for you to make the same kind of money, right? Like Bruce was right with the math, right? So instead of needing 2 million, you need 200,000, right? And so that's like a huge difference, man. Now listen,
Hell yeah.
I still get that 200,000 is a lot of money for all of us.
Oh,
There's somebody listening who doesn't think 200,000 is a lot, but normal. I know people that make $20,000 a year, man, $10,000 a year. So, it's a lot of money. And so the next step in the thinking that you have to adjust is the fact that this is crypto, right? It has the potential to go up. So while we might be dreaming that, hey, we want to have 200,000, you can earn 50% on. Right now, you get your positions laid in and sunk, right, early, so that you may so pick a different number that works for you. Work on something that gets you 10,000 a year. For most people, that's a car payment, right? Easy, right? I mean, how many people have trouble paying for their car? A lot of people, right? $750 a month is the norm now. So how about you set a target for 10,000, right? So that means you got to figure out how to get 20,000 making, earning for you, and then you know what? We do 100x, the rest is gravy. You hit your goal. But what's important is to get past the effort phase and really to take action, right? To get involved.
To get going, to get started. Because once you get that ball rolling, man, it really starts rolling after. I've always heard the hardest amount of money to get is your first 100,000.
Yes.
And then after that, it just seems to just kind of keeps rolling in.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Well, a big part of that is that for most of us, if I said to you, hey, you guys won, I'm sending you $50,000. Most people are going to go, okay, well, where am I going to spend it? Like this, right? And then the 50,000 is gone, right? One of the things I've heard people say about wealthy people is instead what they do is, okay, where do I invest it? Where do I invest that $50,000 to make me more money?
How do I make that money make me money while I sleep?
You kind of change it up. And so, so the attractiveness of something like Hex is that at a minimum, just at current prices, you can accomplish the same amount of passive income that you would get in TradFi for 1/3 of the capital expenditure. It does come with additional risk reward. Sure, we know that, but that's that. Anyways, that's kind of my thinking as I got into it.
Yeah, and when a lot of people, we're talking about farms. Of course, if you're going to get into farming, there's always the risk of impermanent loss. But what's good about farming in the pulse chain system is,
I'm gonna counter that, but go ahead.
Say that again.
I have a counter for that, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, certain coins might run more, but typically the ecosystem, what we've been seeing since the launch is the ecosystem will rise and fall pretty much all together. So while there may be certain coins that run hot for a little bit longer period than other coins, what you aren't really seeing too much of is one side of the liquidity pair that's significantly in the red, the other side that's significantly in the green, which creates a lot of impermanent loss. That's just a general observation, though. But what were you going to say to that, Crispy?
No, I agree with you. So I think, but I'll adjust it a little bit. I think it's necessary to have different. I call them business models because I think people, maybe this will resonate with people. Like if I'm doing different types of things on the outside, right? I'm doing side gigs, maybe I'm doing Uber, right? There's a business model for me around that and how I have to operate to do that. If I'm working at McDonald's, that's a different thing, right? And they're not the same thing. I'm not in a car, I'm handling money directly. The other way I'm doing it, I'm using a credit card. When I think about the different methods that we have to earn in crypto, I think it's important if you can segregate that in your head, that this is a business model, farming. What does farming look like to you? I mean, you get to define it, but here's the thing: impermanent loss doesn't matter until you withdraw, right? And so, if you, I mean, somebody go do the numbers on it. If you put $100,000 in, again, big number, but we use big numbers for examples. You put $100,000 in when Pulse Chain launched, you're freaking doing great, man. I mean, you still have those tokens that went up, that went down. You got all sorts of differences in the middle of that. You're not getting additional units, but you're getting paid in ink, right? So a lot of times when we're worried about this farming and the impermanent loss, it's based on the idea that at the top, I'm going to sell. What that looks like, right? And that doesn't have to be your business model. This would be interesting, right? Well, I'm going to keep my. I'm like 99% sure I'm round tripping my farms. Yes, I may sell the ink, but that comes out as rewards. But I'm like, why would I destroy this money making thing that perhaps today is paying me $40,000 a year, at the top is going to be paying me $4 million a year? I'm making some grand assumptions, right? And then it's gonna come back, 90%, and it's gonna be making me 100,000. Why would I get out of that? And but I understand why the argument would be, well, yeah, but you're gonna end up taking the permanent loss and you have missed opportunity. But that could be a different business model that I have. If I want to play with that way, then I can go trade, and that's a different business model.
Can I say something about that impermanent loss? I just want to say, people worry about the permanent loss, but I mean, you can just use the ink to buy back whatever coin you have less of.
Yeah, if that's what you're worried about, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You can do that. Yeah.
So it's like you put in the USDT farm and the PLS farm, and if PLS goes up in price, you're gonna have less of it. But you just take the ink and buy the PLS back up, and now you got two big bags. You don't have any ink anymore, but you have two big bags of whatever you have, and maybe you have both big bags and a little bit of extra ink.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely some strategies too with that, right? That you can do that. I'm with you. I like that. There are different strategies for sure. I mean, a different farming strategy for some people is they'll ride it to the top, right? And this might be, again, there are risks. And when I say risk, because you don't know if you're going to make the right decisions at the right time and all that kind of junk, right? But What if I ride my farms up to the top and I'm let's say I'm blessed enough that I get a message from Richard Hart on X that says the top is in, and I pull my farms, right? I pull my farms, and ideally, right, if I'm swapping out, I'm going to stables, right? I wait the year to a year and a half to get to a bottom. I got to wait now, right? Do nothing with this stuff, otherwise I'm going to lose my value. Or maybe I pull out those assets, I just let them sit, and then use them to recollect the units that I want at the bottom. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways people are thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could use it to DCA into something on the way down. You could use it, I mean, you're right. There are a ton of different ways that you can use it to your advantage. But I like what you said there, that, if you treat it like a business model and you can think outside the box,
Yeah, because
I think
it's okay for you, Josh, to have multiple businesses, right?
For sure. Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
none of this is my hex. Well, I guess one of the farms is, but none of them is my hex.
And stakes and T-shares,
So the hex is a whole different business model.
Drive price up massively. So it's not going to take a lot. It's just going to take a few guys.
That's genius. What's been your favorite part of the conference so far, Crispy?
Onboarded her surgeons in her area.
Do you have anything that sticks out?
Yeah. Well, of course, I like what we talked about yesterday, but I laughed my ass off when their girl was on. That is so funny, because backstory there is I'm old now. I feel old. I'm almost 60, right? And I'm like, and some of these people watching this will know, when did all this weird porn become a thing, right? And then how come I keep getting all these messages and pop-ups and whatnot about how I need to be polyamorous, or I need to have an open marriage, right? All these different things, right? And my wife says, well, it's because you look at that stuff. That's why you keep getting it. But I had to laugh, because this, her presenting and correlating being in crypto to being, satisfying multiple partners was kind of like funny. It made me laugh off my ass, because it had nothing to do with anything I clicked. So apparently other people must be getting the same kind of messages I'm getting. But I think from an entertainment perspective, that was the most entertaining piece.
I like when she said, if you're just holding the 4 core coins, you're delusional.
Because that the code is
that was my favorite part.
I don't know about being delusional.
What if I am delusional?
Maybe. Well, it's tough too about all that. That whole thing is, if let me tell you, I hate to say it this way, but it took a long time for Hex to come back up in price, right? We had to get that 5x, that 4x, 5x, and this retracement for things to be bullish, right? Because it was painful, man. It was painful during this whole period. And so from her perspective, if that's all you had done, the stake tax, and all you had done is held, and you weren't farming, and you weren't validating, you didn't have anything earning, you were probably feeling this really hard.
I can see that.
One central actor. That's literally the
But I'm with you about being delusional. Yeah, but we get this argument all the time. I mean, I'm conflicted too. The whole thing, because what I'm telling you, I just got done telling you how great Hex is, right?
Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Richard Hart out here.
Danny boy, this is a what do we call this? A watch party. We're just watching the conference while having our own little conversation.
You can succumb to the same rules that the game has always been played
by. Is that what he's asking? Is that?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
He's asking, is this the green room broadcasting?
Yeah, watch out. Somebody left the camera on. Hey, where are the tissues? Come on.
Once I did, I didn't look back.
This famous stuff.
I think that
I don't know, Josh. What do you think? What was your favorite part so far?
I could be a little biased and say, because the DGen Roundtable, I think they had a pretty good talk. The last segment on Monday night, I think that was a pretty good talk that they had. I like the chemistry that they had with everybody else. I thoroughly enjoyed both of y'all's conversations. I'm really looking forward to the last one tonight, though, the one that's coming up at 11. I am really looking forward to that one.
What is that one?
I think that's hang on real quick.
The final panel, right?
Yeah, the final panel. I think I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a good
Final
one.
countdown. Here we go, Briz.
Yeah, it's going to be
Final
Axis,
countdown.
Coffee, Corey Geary, SJ, Whitney. Rachel's going to be on, Maddie, and then
I think that,
Oh, we lost
We
him.
lost Josh.
He X by accident.
That's right. We're taking over the D-Gen channel now, baby.
He might
You
not
and
be able
me.
to get back in here actually,
Uh-oh.
because Will is the one in control of adding people, and Will took off.
Will left, huh? Uh-oh.
Will
We'll have to keep things entertaining.
left.
It's good to see you, Bruce. I
Hey,
do
good
miss
to see
streaming
you.
with you.
I miss streaming with you guys.
Yeah, I know it's tough sometimes.
Yeah,
With
it's tough.
with working with
I
that,
I,
that
I
channel.
got a question for you. I want you to know what you think of this business idea, non crypto related. But I just saw this on like a YouTube short, and so I was like, it sounds like kind of a good idea, and I just want to know what you think.
All right, let
And
me know.
and the whole idea is it's a hole-in-one golf thing where you gotta hit it like 150 yards and make like a hole-in-one, and you just charge per golf ball to do it. And they say like a really good golfer, like a really good amateur golfer, someone who golfs a lot, it's about a 1 in 12,000 chance. So people were giving up like a $10,000 prize if you can hit the hole in one.
Yeah.
And like, and so the whole idea is that they'll spend $12,000 and then they'll hit the hole in one and make 10,000, but
Nice.
you're up 20%.
Yeah, I think there'd be some challenges with that, right? Making sure you have the throughput to actually accumulate enough of the value
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you could actually do it. But yeah, that'd be kind of like a fun thing.
And so here's what I thought. Here's what I added on to it. You charge different prices for different golf balls. So a $1 golf ball, you win $1,000. A $5 golf ball, you win 5,000, and a $10 golf ball, you win 10,000.
No, you could do
So that way it really pays off. You know what I mean?
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, I know you.
Yeah, Jess was
you
talking.
took
He was
off.
like, "Clunk."
Yeah, I accidentally clicked out, Will. That's why I had to call you. My bad. I didn't mean to.
I was like, I don't think Josh is going to be able to get back in here.
No, Chad.
I'm like-
No. That's not what happened.
I'm like,
Bruce decided.
hang
he
on,
wanted-
guys. Gotta like run upstairs. Like, oh shit! I fucking got it. Click, 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 click. All right. Sorry about. Y'all
No
have
worries.
y'all have an excellent conversation. Call me when you need me again. I'm hanging with my buddy Crispy. Excellent to see you, amigo. Briss, excellent to see you, amigo.
Sir.
Well, there's
I
a
will.
will, there's
I'll
a
let
way.
you know, bud.
And
All right,
so
thanks, guys.
my idea, or the whole idea behind the hole in one, basically it's a carnival game.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of like you can get it going fairly cheap. What do you need? A bunch of golf balls, a whole, a little
Well, you
piece
need
of
this. You need
land.
a little piece of land. You'll need netting depending where you are, right?
Yeah.
So you're not whacking somebody in the head with a ball. I think, like I said, the biggest challenge with that would be if you're offering 10,000 and then some joker shows up and does it the first time, you got to pay 10 grand, right? So you might maybe a growing pool, where based on the number of people,
You can only win once per month.
Well, no, but I was just saying, like, based on the amount of participation, the pool, the pot grows just like Powerball, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like
I
Powerball.
looked it up. It's called a game of skill,
Game of skill.
and you're allowed to charge for a game of skill. It's
You want
it's basically a carnival game, basically.
here's one for you. Let me throw my business idea at you.
All right, let's hear
So
it.
I got this. So I have this tire that keeps going low, and I need to bring it down, have it fixed, right? But I don't know if anybody else in the world has this issue.
I had the issue not that long ago.
Getting my goddamn tires to stay full is always like a problem. It's a pain in the ass and all this other stuff. And so we got all these kids running around and all these other people, on the side of the street. Of course, it's kind of a different thing. They're panhandling for a reason. They're with a group, I'm sure. But what if I started going through parking lots with my little portable air compressor? I say, hey, Briz, you want me to fill your tires? And I fill your tires. Wouldn't you tip me?
I like it.
Wouldn't you tip me? You'd be like, I don't know. A lot of people. I think if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, you want me to fill your tire?" Yeah, man, fill my tires.
I got one of those portable it fills up the tires, air pumps, portable air pumps, because my tires kept going low. But, I think that's a pretty good idea. You walk in through, you go, hey man, for $10, I'll fill up all your tires real quick.
Yeah, you don't even have to charge. And people will tip you. I guess some people will be jerks, but I was just thinking, what a nice service that would be. They're just because people do that. They'll come detail cars, locally or whatever. Pull the catalytic converter.
I think that's smart. You just have a couple extra batteries, in your bag or whatever, and it's very low upstart.
Yeah, $150.
Yeah, $150.
Maybe
just
200.
walk around.
You'd be like, "Hey, I'll fill your tires." Tire filling service,
It's
Hey, listen,
walking back from a Trader Joe's.
Listen, I didn't do this. I haven't done this recently, but I mean, I could be sitting here and go, "Hey, I really would like some whiskey." I just punch it in my phone, and some guy shows up at my door with a bottle of whiskey. So, I mean, there's a lot worse things going on than that. Maybe it'd be the air inflation network. Maybe instead it's just simply somebody tells Uber about it instead of Uber Eats, you're getting Uber Air. I don't know.
Dude, I actually thought about the Uber Eats business model like years before it actually launched. Because I remember I was at home with my roommates and we're all drunk and stoned. And I'm like, man, I really wish I could get some Del Taco right now. But the only place that delivers food is pizza. I'm all, what if there was like a fast food delivery place? I'm all, that would be dope.
Nice. Well, yeah, it's really changed things even around here. The scale of it was hard to imagine how somebody could put a network like this together. But the idea that you could have Grubhub and all these other different ways, Toast. Depends where you are, what service is doing what. But yeah, dude, there was a time for everybody listening, right? They probably don't remember a time where they couldn't get their food delivered. Man, you just have to go pick it up if you wanted it, right?
So, Crispy Man, just to add on to your business idea just a little bit, the way you really get it going is you just pay like a homeless person to let the air out of some tires.
They're terrible, man.
You go, hey man, I'll give you $2 for every tire you take the air out of.
Yeah.
Don't get caught.
You are terrible. Hey, I'll give for anybody who's ever had problems with their tires and all that type of stuff, I'll give you a tip. Very important tip.
What is it?
The day after it rains, make sure you don't go to the right side of the road. Right, try to stay in your lane, of course, but don't ride the the warning lane or the safety lane or whatever that side lane is called, because when it rains, all that junk gets all spun up and moved around and whatnot, and that's where the nails and all the little sticky things come out, and that's where you get your punctures.
Yeah, and if you see any lines in the road, don't drive over the lines, because that's where a nail will stick out and they'll pop your tire.
Yeah, I'm being true about that, man. If you ride bike, the bike riders know, man. When after it's rained, you do not want to be riding on that freaking side lane, man. blow
two
a
of the
tire.
tires on my Cadillac kept on going low,
I know the
and I took it to my shop, and they replaced the valve stems.
Yeah, that happens a lot too.
So that's what helped fix my issue. FYI.
If you have a regular garage, one of the ways you can make them super happy is go get that inflatable fucking tire filler stuff and just fill your tire with it, so that when they open up your tire, it's like a confetti party. They love that.
And there's a clear route there.
Like they talk about the worst inventions ever. But hey, so anybody wants to go start making money with your little air compressors, that's not patented. It's not copyrighted. It's not trademark. Go, man. Free idea.
Oh my gosh, KDP just tweeted.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go out.
It was not a nice tweet about the conference.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I'll let everyone discover that on their own.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tam.
You guys, hey Tam, you guys know Matt. You've talked to him enough. We've seen him enough, right? So I know his heart's in the right place. But yeah, I get I understand the criticism, and he's bothered quite a bit by the fact that people are so down on him. But like all of us, right? Like when people give me crap for stuff, you know, for having a token and whatnot, it's because I did it, right? It's not because somebody else did it. So if they're going to give me crap for it, I mean, I get it, and that's kind of what's happened, you know. I mean, I can tell you that he's always had the highest respect, like for Steph, right? And I always had the highest respect for him, and so that happened to be one project where he was like, "Yeah, I think that's a good idea because this guy's launching this thing," and it didn't turn out very well, did it? So he's made some mistakes, but I think he owns up to them. But I don't know. I get it. He's getting a lot of hate for it. But I mean, a lot of people talk about how the conference is going to go a different direction. They talk about how these conferences should be different, and it should be different people, and it should be a different format. Go make a conference. Nobody's stopping you, man. I mean, I'm being serious about that.
I would love to see 3 or 4 different Hex conferences throughout the year.
And I'd participate, right? Go make one. Go make one. Because that's the thing about this, right? It's DeFi, man. And so we can go do whatever we want to do, however we want to do it. And yeah, even the people that don't want to participate in this and are boycotting, that's okay too. You know, they want to boycott it for their reason, they can do that. You know?
Yeah, maybe we'll shake the cult label when they see that not everyone is exactly on the same page, right?
There are the like kind of hex lending, just kind of like
it's definitely something to think about. That's for sure. Yeah, it takes a lot of work to do that, though. I don't think a lot of people want to do a lot of work. I think it's a lot easier.
That's the truth, man.
It's a lot easier for people to just sit back and make criticisms than actually put in the work to doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get everyone on screen using the same background, except for Axis. Why can't he just put the virtual background up? Come on, man. That's all right.
Sometimes people want to stand out. I don't know if that's why. So you've got the background. I got the background still. I got mine up.
Yep.
But I got the one from a couple of years ago. I'm collecting them. They're going to be worth something someday.
I guess Axis, he's got a good promotional physical background. He doesn't want to give that up.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So that kind of
Axis seems to be doing pretty good, though. Seems to be holding up.
And then, because the only reason
you mean the token, or you mean Axis himself?
Yeah, the token.
Yeah. Well, we had a origin whale like dump the crap out of it twice in a row in a couple of weeks. So, but it bounced back. It bounced back pretty good. But you know, that's also part of the game with crypto. I hate to say it, right? Is that people buy, and when the price goes up, they sell, and then sometimes they hold, and sometimes they don't. But that dude, that dude provided a lot of support and liquidity for a long time too.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah, he seemed to do his coin like the right way for the most part. I didn't really get too much involved with it, but it seems like he was doing it the best way he could, which is yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah, well, this stuff is a hell of a learning experience, man.
I think over time,
Because a lot of us kind of sit back and we're like, well, somebody make Hex, can't the dev do something, right? Can't you make Hex go up? And what it really comes down to at the end of the day is, and it's always the same thing, is you have to have more buyers and sellers.
Will the devs please do something?
Can you do something? Change the price.
I think base
But-
really could be like a
Okay, so we
Yeah, I
used to
mean,
see that.
good
The minute it pumps up 25%, you're gonna have people that want to sell that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's just ultimately it's a psychology. You're absolutely right. It takes the only way for number to stay green, go green, and stay green is to have more buyers than sellers. So
Yep.
Well, yeah,
And
I'll
that's
tell
hard.
you,
That's hard.
this is a controversial statement that I'll make. It's super controversial, right?
I think that using those is like
It's your you could view it as your job if you're within a token and you're trying to support it and you want it to go further. It's your job to take profits responsibly on the way up so that you can come back in and support it at the bottom. And that's a really hard thing to do, and it's hard. Like, how do you do that?
I don't think that's controversial at all. I think that, I mean, that's logical.
Well,
Especially if you have
the part would be controversial, Josh, is me saying it's your job.
Okay,
You know,
I
that
got
would be
you.
Controversial, you know. But-
Well, you
It's
know,
your job to dump on our heads.
especially like if you have full faith and trust and like you believe in a project, then it's like, yeah, it would be like your duty. Okay, responsibly do this so that when it comes down, you can repeat the process. You know,
Yep.
I mean, that
Yep.
absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But you know, I think we're fast, and it's very hard for people to feel it right now. But there's going to come a time where you're not going to see people selling their hex, right? Because I'm already seeing it with some of the users, right, where you know they're not getting their hex out and selling it like all of it. Because if they were, you'd be seeing something different on the staking and how much is getting locked up and all that. And sure, so a lot of people do sell. I mean, we obviously they see that pressure too. But what happens? Part of it has to do with like, what do you need? You know, like individuals need or a group need. If hex says 100x, do you really need to sell all your hex? Right? I mean, how much do you need in this cycle? And so the likelihood is not for everybody, I get it, but the likelihood is there's going to be more people that'll scrape. And then
So my whole speech when I was at the conference earlier, I was trying to teach people how to exit without murdering the price of the chart. And
Yeah,
so
yeah, I heard that.
I spoke about stable coins or the loan protocols. So I'm hoping, you know, if we all use them, you know, essentially we're going to be locking up, making the coins more scarce, and then we'll have more coins if the prices go down to buy up more coins off the market, making it even more scarce. And so I'm hoping that's it feels like it's going to be a good way to exit. I'm just a little nervous. Like it's just like it just feels too good to be true.
that S-load thing that drove the gas price.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm looking at the here, let me pull it up real quick. I'm looking at the
Well, the only like I forget who told you this on there. I think your point was a really good point. The only downside is when there are liquidations and the hex has to be sold.
yeah.
That is downward pressure. But yeah, I'm with you with what you're saying about it. You know, in that moment, I'm not selling.
So right now it looks like the PXDC total supply is 1.41 million. Meaning there's only $1.4 million worth of like the PXDC stablecoin, which is not very much to tell you the truth. But with that said, it's been holding its peg pretty good. Hex DC supply 846,000. So there's not that much out there in my opinion. I want to see those be like $50 million each.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I think that'll come with some time. For those of you, so I've been working on what I call my stable coin project for a while, and well, all it has to do with is, so what is the plan, for taking profits, and where am I actually going to put them? And so what I've been doing is a lot of work on understanding liquidity with stable coins and what are our options. So a tip for everybody who isn't aware of this, on PHUX and then through 2FUX, there is a pool out there where you can deposit DAI, PXDC, and HEXDC. And
Oh, really?
it's paying about 70% APR, dude,
I don't think you're gonna have 100
on stable. So it's a really nice option. The numbers go up and down, but you can go verify that and go see what it is. But that's an opportunity to get exposure to all of the action that might take place there. And yes, you'll earn PHUX and 2PHUX, but you're able to, just like we're talking about with ink, you're then able to every week, every month, whatever you want to do, take that and convert it to whatever you want to convert it to.
That's cool.
The profit margin is going to be so huge.
Just to mention those things. The other way, besides, here's,
I'm going to definitely check that out. I don't even know about that, really.
Well, if you need help on it, let me know. I'll explain it. Go deep.
Yes, sir.
On it. Because there are stablecoin options right now that pay a good between 10 and 20% consistently, anyways, just stable to stable on PulseX. So I mean, you can simply use the stable LP, and you earn right around 10%, which is pretty cool. Just drop your stables and earn 10%. Again, like we were talking about before, outside of crypto, it's kind of hard to get 10%. But that's an option that's there. But going to your point about selling, I've also done a lot of work investigating on that whole, like, how do you take profits thing, and mostly for my own self, but also for my group, right? So yeah, taking loans is one option. Another option is V2 or is V3, right? Which is another way you can do it by doing it. But all of this requires time and work and effort. Even with V3, and V3 typically when you're going up in the market, you can drop a small band of a sell, because you do a single-sided position just above the price. And then the price goes up, your position sells into the new token, and then it goes out of range. And so you've now converted from Pulse to say a stable, or PulseX to a stable. But the thing about that stuff is, number one, if they're too big, if too many people do that, it creates too thick of a liquidity that actually can stop momentum, because it becomes like this big sell wall. The other thing is, it takes time, right? The market's got to cooperate with you and actually drive the price through. And so I don't know if 10,000 people can set V3 positions, everybody gets filled,
Yeah, right.
And so then when you get that deep into it, it's like, yeah, on an individual basis, that's what I'd recommend people do. But then when you start looking at it, you just know, if you can't get people to think long term anyways, they're pushing the sell button. Right. I mean, it's just too easy. I want my money now. Click. So yeah. Yeah, it's a challenge, but I like that you're talking about, Bruce, because I think that we should all be trying to get out responsibly if we can. And it's different though too. I mean, if you're talking about $100 in Pulse,
yeah, whatever, hit that sell button.
That's not what we're saying. It's when you're talking
Or
about,
if you're gonna be pulling out $1 million, how about just 900,000 instead?
Yeah. Well, that's what's crazy when we see these people do these big things, and they're like, man, they're doing it like in one damn swoop, and it's like they just took a 30% haircut. It's like they couldn't have thought about this a little bit ahead. But then every time I think that, I'm like, well, maybe there's a different strategy going on, because the whales they'll do something like that in order to accumulate the token.
Their strategy is called, it's not panic selling if you're the first person out the door.
Yeah.
That's a quote from that Margin Call movie.
That's another good one. That's another one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a good one. My Christmas movie is The Big Short. I watch that like every December.
Oh, that's interesting. For Christmas.
I don't know why. I don't think any part of that movie is during Christmas. Actually, I think there is one part, but I don't know. I watch it every year, right around December. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I gotta get going.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, I'm about to hit Will up myself because I've been up for a little bit. So appreciate you hopping on, Briz.
Yes, sir. Thank you for
Crispy,
inviting me.
yeah, absolutely. Crispy,
Thanks,
do you want to hang out for another couple minutes until Will gets back?
Yeah, I'll hang with you, buddy.
All right,
I
guys. Have a
appreciate it. Hey,
good one. All right.
Briz, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, stay away
Take
from those
care. You
those
too, Josh.
wildfires. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Briz, stay safe, bro.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, let me give Will a call real quick. Actually, let me ask you something real quick. I think we've talked about this on the stream that you were on, but obviously with the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, the big part of, that cycle is the halving period. That's what sort of creates the supply and the demand, which can drive the price up. But with all the investor money coming in, with all the institutions starting to get more and more focused on it, I can't foresee another cycle or two of this pattern playing out. I got to imagine at some point, it's
I noticed on Twitter.
I want to say like over the last 2 or 3 cycles, it's been like the early investors have been able to identify it, you know what I'm saying, and they've been able to take advantage of the fact that every 4 years, Bitcoin does this parabolic move, which pulls up the rest of the market. How much longer do you see that happening?
So we did this last time.
I don't know, dude. Man, I don't know what's going to happen with it.
I
think one thing that's true is that people like money.
Their own topics or
all right, and so how do these big players make money? Right, and the way they make money is they buy low, sell high. So are they willing for the volatility to be tamped down and not be able to get a 70%, 80% dip? Are they okay with 30%? They might be. I don't know. I think we're going to have to see what they do. But if they're thinking, so it depends on what they're thinking, because we've heard a lot of them talking, in all these different streams and stuff. They're still talking 4-year cycle, right? That could be a fake out, but it also could just be that that's just what they believe. So perhaps their expectation is that they're going to sell the top and buy the bottom. Just like everybody else. In which case they'll help make that happen, and perhaps it makes sense that it would be on the same schedule, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's just one of the scenarios. I think another scenario is like you're saying, is that no, it has changed things, and some people are going to take that profit, and we're just not going to see as big of a dip. And I think the big game changer is the amount of steam that Saylor and company and all these other people have picked up in their approaches of buying the tops, man.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's a good lesson for all of us, right, about market making, because that's essentially what's happening, right? They're market making. He's making Bitcoin scarce.
Yep.
And so it's quite. Does he want to see it get cut in half? Maybe he doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's going to be the buyer of last resort. You guys sell, right? And the fake out part of it could be, everybody gets that top and they're like, all right, this is just like it's always been, right? And but instead of letting it go down this far, these guys fill their bags. Everybody else is waiting for the 90%, the 80%. They fill their bags at 50%, and you're done.
Yeah.
You're out.
Yeah.
Because then they push the price back up, and
Yep.
So that's another possibility. I think I'm just going to watch it and see. I try to be like I try to be forward planning with this. Now, again, this kind of goes back to hex and the ladders, right? If I've got a ladder that's already set to give me what I need, and I can closely identify what the top in that cycle period is, I mean, within weeks, maybe not moments or days, but within weeks, then I have a pretty good opportunity to take what I need from the market at that time, and then I just waiting for the next one, right? Which is way different than hitching my wagon. I mentioned before the risks that could be out there. These are kind of like the risk, right? What if this time is different? And you can't see when the market's actually doing a chart, right? And you're looking at the chart and you're watching it get painted, and you're like, okay, we got the top. Okay, let's say we can all agree with that. How do you know if we're truly at the next bottom?
Mm-hmm.
If the structure's changed, right?
Yep.
So one way for me to eliminate having to worry about that is I'm not selling the bottom. I'm not buying the bottom, right? That would be that would be one way. At least what I mean is from the point of view of selling the top and buying the bottom, because
Right.
I kept enough units for the future.
Yeah, because one thing that happened in this past bear market, June 2022, Ethereum hit a very low point, and everyone expected Ethereum to keep dropping. And sure enough, you get into November 2022, Bitcoin finds its bottom. Ethereum had already bottomed in June of 2022. That hadn't happened before. Ethereum found its bottom 6 months prior to Bitcoin, and when Bitcoin plummeted, down to its bottom, Ethereum still held above that low. So that was a break in the standard deviation. So it'd be interesting to see what happens this time. A lot of people are sort of planning on what's happened, what happened last cycle and the cycle before last, everything running together. And then, after Bitcoin, 2 to 3 weeks later, Ethereum and the altcoins sort of top. But we saw something drastically different happen in the bear market. So, it's good to have contingency plans, and it's definitely good to have that sort of mindset of, do I want to buy the bottom and sell the top? Am I good with, hey, while it's running up, responsibly taking profits? That all goes into a strong investment plan that I think it takes a lot of people a full cycle to truly even develop.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer in a written plan. At least once, kind of get it down in your head about, at least some of the things you do. And there could be different scenarios that you have to run through. I always go back to knowing your numbers, right? What does that mean? You got to know what your numbers are. What does that mean? It means, how much do I need to live every year, right? What am I expecting to get out of this cycle? And I use this buckets and levers example, in my head and within my group, where the buckets are, hey, listen, so what do I need? What do I need to get out of this? Well, I need to pay off my debt. If I have any debt, I need to pay off my debt, right? That's a bucket. I write the number on the side of the bucket, right? And then I'm like, okay, well, what else do I need? I need 2 years of expenses, right? That's another bucket. I write the number on the side of the bucket, right? What else do I want? I want to have dry powder for some bottom in the future. That's another bucket. I write the number on the side, right? Perhaps you have other buckets, other things you want to do or whatever. So then the objective is, okay, well, when do you pull those levers, and what levers you're going to pull to fill the buckets, right? And that's, it sounds more complex than it is, I guess, maybe, but the idea being is having some thought about this, because of course I want maximum gains. Of course I do. But I don't know where that is or when that is. And I don't know if I have enough time to do that. And so why wouldn't I fill one of my buckets at 50x or 100x or 75x? And for some people, they're thinking like 20x. Why wouldn't I fill the buckets so that I know that I'm paying off my debt, my situation's good for another three years, right? Because I got that covered, and I don't have to worry about carrying that nut, right? And then why wouldn't I make sure I have 2 years worth of expenses? If I've already made, like, if I got enough gains where that is, that's pretty significant, and that's only a small part of what what's going on, then why wouldn't you do that? And you can insert your own numbers. Maybe it's not 2 years of expenses. It's 10,000 for this, 10,000 for that, 5,000, whatever the numbers might be. But just have kind of an idea of what you need to be able to get out of here with, so that you can continue to do what your plan is for life, right? But I think if you can identify those kinds of buckets, you can know how you want to fill them, and the trade-off is the opportunity cost, right? You know, if you go back and look at the hex charts, and if you had gotten in the beginning of hex and you had come in heavy, it made perfect sense to sell in April, May of 21. You were so much in profit. You literally could have had millions of dollars worth of profit to sell, but that doesn't mean you got 56 cents. You got a much lower number, right? And so
Yeah.
so the other people be like, no, that was a stupid idea, right? We always tell people, oh, they should just held, right? Because you could have gotten 25x more, but maybe that was enough,
Mhm.
and nobody can decide that for you. You have to decide it, for yourself. But
Yeah.
but I mean, I think that's one way to do it. I think that certainly you don't sell out your bags. In Bitcoin world, right? It's always been this way. Always the way it's been talked about is you always keep a hodl bag, right?
Well, the strategy that you just laid out is, I'm sure, to a lot of people, that's something that would be revolutionary. I mean, I know. So, but that all comes down to everybody's personal finances, being able to know exactly how much money you have at any given moment. And I do. It's funny. I told my girlfriend, the girl I've been seeing for the last couple months. I told her what one of the fondest memories that I have of my dad was sitting at the dining room table balancing his checkbook every single day, after every time he would write a check. That's what he did. And I would sit there and look at him. He used the same pen. He sat in the same position every single day. That was always something that I always saw was that happening. And then when I was 19 years old and I got a little bit of money, I decided to live outside of my lifestyle. And I ended up getting evicted from an apartment when I was 19 years old. And in that moment right there, I said to myself, I need to do what I saw my dad doing. And I have done that ever since I was 19 years old. And that's why, right now, I know exactly how much money I have in each and every bank account that I have, where my investments are, how much that is. So yeah, I have a detailed spreadsheet of my biweekly and my monthly budgets. You know what I'm saying? With how much is allocated to what, how much where is going where. But a lot of people, that's foreign to them. A lot of people, they swipe their debit card. They don't know, how much money they have pending. They forgot how much they tipped at Texas Roadhouse 2 nights ago. And the next thing you know, they're getting hit with overdraft charges and stuff like that. Yeah. So a lot of people just need to learn the basics of know exactly where your money is. And then that's when you can truly start, getting that investment game plan together and developing all that stuff.
Yeah, there are tools you can put together for yourself to do that too. Because there's some people, right, that they're never going to do that checking account balance, and they're not going to be the spreadsheet guy. Like I might be, right? I'm not the checking account balancer guy, but I'm definitely the spreadsheet guy, right? But there are other techniques people can use to do that. Like most banks will let you have multiple bank accounts, that type of stuff. And so one of the strategies you do is just segregate out where you're putting your funds for specific purposes, and so you're not accessing them like it's a freaking piggy bank, and you just pull out whatever you want. That worked really good for me when I was younger because I trying to save for a family vacation or something.
I have 5 checking accounts all linked now for that exact reason.
Yeah, because
I got an every day. I got a bills account. I got a rollover account. I got a rainy day fund. All right, this is strictly towards investments. I know exactly what you're talking
100%, dude. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. Oh, on this whole crypto thing, the other thing that, things are changing. Everybody may not know this depending on how long you've been involved, right? There was no institutional Bitcoin stuff really in 2017. I mean, so we saw a progression where things changed into 17, 21, and now today. Right now, you would say the institutions are here, countries are here. Maybe it's going to go further. We're going to see a lot more adoption, right? So things do change in crypto. It's just moving kind of slow, right? Every 4 years. One of the other things that changed is when I first got in and with crypto, I wanted to go get something. I had to go buy Bitcoin. I literally had to buy Bitcoin to get what I wanted because there was no other way for me to trade. And if there wasn't a path from Bitcoin to what I wanted, I had to get Bitcoin, and then I had to buy Ethereum so I could use the Ethereum to buy what I wanted, right? And there just weren't as many options, right? Now, over the years, the options have changed a lot, and that also can account for how things may be different. During 2021, you didn't need Bitcoin to get Ethereum, but you needed Ethereum to get everything else. Right now, we have even more L1s out there, and there's all these different on ramps in all different directions. So, while in part, yes, you'll still have some people going from Bitcoin to Ethereum and into alts, that's not necessarily the model anymore, right? Because you can bypass all of that. Look at Coast, or something like that. You go right to Pulse Chain. Ethereum and Bitcoin aren't getting a pump, from that going on. And there's probably some other things I don't know about that are out there. Anyways, so that could be affecting things as well. Now, I do think that people still like money, though, right? And what do I mean by that? What I mean is, if we were to see Bitcoin shoot up the charts, yeah, people are going to rotate into Ethereum, right? Because Ethereum hasn't pumped yet, they're going to do that. Why? Because the first movers will capture the increase on Bitcoin first until the R&R, the reward to risk ratios so low, they're like, oh, I'm not standing anymore. They want to get more gains, and they'll try to go get a quick double on Ethereum. But that's not the only destination that they have to stop at, and they don't even have to go through Ethereum to get to Pulse Chain, right? As an example, or to Matic, or to AVAX, or whatever chain we're talking about. And so, yeah, we're going to see some different. There'll be flippering. Where people are flipping between tokens and assets for sure. I think it's just like a moving target, So I think all of that could create this time is different.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
But I wouldn't expect there not to be a crypto winter. I mean, it'd be nice. I'll be happy with no crypto winter. But I think you just need to be prepared for, 2 or 3 different scenarios. And that kind of goes back again to the planning. I saw somebody's posting something up, maybe it was on X or whatever. Sorry guys, I have to sell my crypto because I have to buy food for my family and pay my rent. That probably is not the situation you need to be in with crypto.
Yep.
Right. And I know lots of us show up and get involved without maybe that forethought, but that's not like, if you're relying on whether or not these assets are going to go up and down to whether or not you can keep the lights on in your house, no.
Absolutely. All right. Let me give Will a call. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll shut this thing down here in a second. Let me get him on. Give me a second.
Oh yeah, no problem. I see Hex Lost in Asia out there. I don't know if you're still listening. Good to see you, Hex, again. Lost in Asia. Tam, as always, appreciate all your enthusiasm. You give me energy just talking. Fox Mulder, these prices are depressing. Yeah, they are depressing. I feel it too. One of the things I've been recommended to people, now's a great time to do it, is go set up your first stable LP if you get a chance to do it. Not financial advice, don't have to do it, but I think you should get started with your first LP if you don't have one. Just stable to stable, kind of start building the the memory muscle there for. So where do you put your profits and have that set up so you go drop them into that spot, and you can kind of get a feel for how this works, and then longer term you can add to it when you want to.
Yep. Good stuff. All right, Will. I think we're about ready to close out. Crispy, dude, it's been awesome talking to you, man.
Yeah, good to see you again, man.
Yeah, you too. I'll get into your DMs. Love to have you on the show again sometime very soon. I mean, talking to you, man, I love cutting it up with you. So definitely try to
I
see if
like
we
it
can get
as
you
well,
back on.
Josh. Yeah,
See
I
if we
like
can,
I like the fact that you have 5 checking accounts, because that's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah,
I know.
absolutely. And I could
I know
talk
it's
about
cool.
this stuff for hours. So yeah, definitely want to get you back on. But yeah, hey, Will, we're good to go, man.
Alrighty.
So
All right,
yeah,
thanks,
however you
guys.
want to close it out. Yeah, Crispy, I appreciate it, dude.
All right,
Okie
we'll see
dokie.
ya.
Yes, we will see you, Crispy. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you all so much for spending this valuable time here. I'm pulling up our end of show copywriting right now. I'm going to go ahead and read off our little DGen Roundtable preamble to the DGen Roundtable Constitution before I read the end of show copywriting. Crispy, before I do that, you want to shout anything out? Let the folks at home know where they can find you, what you got going on in the near future?
Well, you can find me over at Xfire.io. That's either the website xfire.io or just on Twitter, xfire.io. That's all.
I like it. Excellent, excellent. Josh, how about you, good sir? Where can the folks find you, and what have you got going on in the near future?
Yes, sir. So I'm doing a complete rebrand. So you guys can find me on Twitter, on Instagram at Avenge the Fallen. Just replace the E's with 3s. That's all you guys
Excellent.
got to do. Avenge the Fallen. But
That's
yep,
easy.
yep,
I like it.
that's all you got to
All right,
do.
man.
Excellent.
But yeah, we'll kick it off.
All right, I'll go ahead and take it away. For the folks at home who don't know where you can find me, all of my socials can be found at the pulse domain will.pls.fyi. And yeah, everything exists over there. Thank you all so much for joining us. And let's get this end of the show. We'll beat the Hex Conference for ending the show. So we, the debauched, in the pursuit of chaotic harmony, do unite to form a more questionable union and establish strictly unregulated fund to ensure a steady flow of libations and provide for our collective shenanigans, all while promoting the art of bad decision makings and securing the blessings of free-spirited vibes to ourselves and future party animals. Do hereby establish this glorious podcast to indulge in excess for all who dare to live recklessly. Will you join us and turn down for what? I want to thank all of you for spending your valuable time with us here on the DGen Roundtable. As Agent J often says, we know that time is your most valuable asset, and we appreciate you spending it right here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Will Stevenson, but more importantly, you have been watching the DGen Roundtable. I am actually Mr. Producer, so I have to go ahead and get that trigger finger ready, which I am not ready. Oh, Jesus. Media assets, end credits. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
It's time to remind the folks at home to remember to degen responsibly.